Yeah, man. Toast me a fucking beer. Nah, I don't want any beer. I don't feel like it. What the fuck? What do you mean you don't want no beer? Just a fucking beer, just one fucking beer. What's the matter with drinking a couple beers, huh? Just a couple fucking beers? Well, I don't feel like having any. Why not? Why don't you want any fucking beers, man? It ain't gonna kill you, just a couple beers, man. You know, just a couple fucking beers. What's up with that shit, huh? What the fuck?
Just had to
Cool.
take a drag of that cigarette. Well, what's up, guys? I'm not talking to the audience. I'm talking to you guys who are actually on the show. How's it going? It feels like it's been a little while since we've done this, but again, it's only been a week.
Well, it's been a week and 1 hour.
A week and 1 hour, a little bit longer than usual. See, me and Paul did something that we don't usually do. We actually went out and drank at an arcade, and that was kind of fun.
Yeah, we're playing Mario
House of
Kart.
the Dead. Yeah, Mario Kart and House of the Dead, and I don't know why I was thinking of bringing this up to you, Black Metal Guy, but we were playing Pong, like a real life version of Pong, where they have the lines and the little square thing, but it's an actual pieces. They look like little pieces of tofu.
I was gonna say a
What?
real life version of Pong
Wait,
is called Ping Pong.
I was gonna say, or like skee ball.
No, it was kind of like air hockey, but you had the bars bouncing the like little square pixel around each
Yeah.
other.
Yeah, you know, like the Atari Pong. It looked like that, but it was real.
This whole concept is tripping me out.
Yeah,
What?
when we saw it, we were mesmerized, so we just went on and used it.
And almost broke the machine.
Yeah,
Nice. How was House of the Dude? Getting drunk playing House of the Dead would be sick.
Oh,
it
you
was
know
like
what?
an updated version, huh?
Yeah, it was like a new version of House of the Dead, because personally, I grew up with House of the Dead 2, which still has the kind of Sega Genesis, not Sega Genesis, but Sega Dreamcast kind of like pixelation.
Yeah,
And I
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I like the first one, I like the second one, but this new one, it's too modern. You start off at like a big rich guy's party, and there's zombies there, and they're all wearing top hats and stuff.
Yeah, they
I
all-
don't know. I wasn't that into it.
they had zombies with glasses on.
Top hat
No.
zombies are not my thing.
No,
Yeah,
you
me
want
neither.
you want the ruined manor and all that, or whatever it was.
Yeah, you want to fight that big like five-headed worm.
Ooh, I don't think I ever got that far.
Oh no! Well, you probably got to the headless knight with that little flying guy, right? Little demon.
I don't
that was
know,
the first
honestly. If I played it in arcade, I played it in arcade only a few times. I probably never got that far. I would do better at shit like Gauntlet Legends.
I don't think I've ever played that. I can
What?
say, Gauntlet Legends. Is that an arcade game? I played Metal Slug. You had a Metal Slug at the pool hall by my house.
Yeah,
Metal Slug is cool. That's ancient. Gauntlet Legends is like almost like Diablo, but it's like up to four players live, and it's like just a retarded hack and slash game.
Yeah, that was a fun game.
Yeah, known for classics like Red Dwarf needs food badly.
It sounds like Golden Axe, kind of. I remember there was a little dwarf then. You're running around eating meat and stuff.
Yeah, maybe inspired by that. You had to eat meat to stay alive.
Yeah, exactly.
true.
What else did we play? We did 4-player Pac-Man. That was good. That was intense. That's when we were all yelling.
Now we're yelling at Mario Kart.
Mario Kart 2. Yeah, so this
Wait,
arcade bar.
which version of Mario Kart?
The arcade version. It's like mixed with Namco for whatever reason. So you have like Pac-Man that's in Mario Kart.
That. Okay.
It was a place that's in like the middle of Koreatown. So you have like a bunch of guys that are like just getting off work with their like Asian guys with ties and shit playing DDR and stuff.
Man, that's
People still play that.
Yeah, you gotta let off that steam somehow.
That's right.
Never liked that one or Guitar Hero.
Guitar Hero, I
Yeah,
loved
so-
Guitar Hero. Couldn't play dance. I can't dance, and I can't barely move. I'm like a fucking stiff corpse.
Well, I feel like the dancing in DDR has nothing to do with real dancing, and
Yeah, just step
The-
in, press
how-
the buttons.
yeah. However, yeah, no,
Do that
the
at the
people who
club.
were the people who were the best at DDR did it in a way that did not resemble dancing at all, which was like seemed to be defeating the purpose. Is Guitar Hero like? I've only played that a couple of times. Is that remotely like playing guitar?
No,
No, it's really just feels like
it's
playing a
actually
video game.
more fun than guitar.
As someone who doesn't play guitar, yes, it's exactly like playing guitar.
They had some good songs on there. They had Rain and Blood, I think, on Guitar Hero 3.
Nice,
So you go,
nice.
Dragon
Didn't they
Force.
have
Wasn't
some-
there a whole thing about a Metallica album having a better mix on Guitar Hero?
Well,
I think it was
with
Death Magnetic or something.
I think with Guitar Hero, what they did, they weren't licensed to play like all those songs. So the people who made it like hired musicians to redo everything. So you don't actually get the actual version of the song. You get
Oh,
like a video. You get hired musicians to play those songs, basically.
It's like a cover.
Yeah, it's basically like a cover. You're not actually getting the real Slayer or the real Anthrax or whatever.
Well, that kind of just spoils the fun, huh?
well, if you're getting the I feel like, but like to your point, I feel like not getting the good Metallica could be good. Or not getting the real Metallica could be good. Sorry, I just said not getting the good Metallica could be good.
I guess there is a
that's
good and
never
bad
good.
Metallica.
What?
So I guess there could be a good and bad Metallica.
Well, for
I mean,
sure.
and
They're struggling for dominance eternally in our hearts.
I mean, and Justice for All, I think, was pretty darn good for an actual metal record. And maybe some people wouldn't agree with me, but I like the Black Album. What I like off the Black Album is the fucking the ballads. Like I like the Unforgiven.
You know what? It's a fun album.
I
I don't have
have
any real problems with it.
I understand the Black Album more as I understood it more as I got older, right? Where it's like, okay, clearly they're not really trying to write a metal record, but I really understood it better after hearing it on a drive to the airport with a cholo biker cab driver who very quickly ascertained, he sort of like inched his music on. He somehow checked that he made sure I was down, right? And then he put on the Black Album, right? He was like, okay, and he cranked it so fucking loud. And once you hear the production at just body shaking volume, you're like, oh yeah, they made Lars sound
works.
good. Like the big stadium drum sound is maybe one of the only good drum sounds they've ever had, aside from Saint Anger. Yeah.
So he looked at you and was like, "All right, you're a rocker foo. Let's do this."
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. He was like, "Oh, you like heavy metal? All right, cool."
It's like, finally.
Yes. Yeah.
I've never actually seen a picture or a video of you. Do you look like a rocker foo?
I look. Yeah, probably. I think. Yeah. I don't know. I've had various. I think back then I had something kind of like a floppy mohawk, and now I have the longest hair I've ever had. It's down below my shoulders. So. Yeah. I don't know. I wear a lot of black. Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm over
It's
here in my
always-
BDM garb right now.
Oh,
Yeah, same here.
your brutal death metal garb or your BDSM garb?
Brutal death metal.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I walked in. Paul's sitting at the desk, and he's wearing like camo pants, which I've never seen before.
Nice.
Yeah, camo and then the dripping hoodie.
I've been meaning to get some camo pants for the full impaled Nazarene look.
Yeah, I told Paul a while ago. We kind of make a joke about this a lot, but I realized that I dress a lot like the death metal guy.
So you're a camo shorts and flip flops kind of guy?
No, when we met him, he's basketball shorts and like
Big shoes.
arch support, New Balance kind of guy.
Nice.
I'm the art support Adidas guy, but still same kind of difference, I guess. Well,
Yeah,
he even said
the
after some of the things we were talking about, like Gothic King Cobra, he's like, "Are you just me, but from California?"
That's awesome. That's I mean God the King. Yeah, I mean back in the day, like basically the death metal guy and I have swapped in a sense because when I met the one time I've ever met him in real life, he had hair all the way down his back. Like to the point where it would ripple as he drunkenly bounded through the streets.
I actually saw a
And
video of him looking like that. He didn't look like that when we met him. But
yeah, no,
I
now he's
saw
got
that.
like a now he's got like one of those short, sort of like high and tight shaved side mohawky haircuts, which is like I had variations on that for years, and now I have fucking long hair.
He's almost got the Richard Spencer cut.
Yeah, yeah, the Austrian painter youth look.
Yeah, the super soldier cut.
The funny thing is, of course, that all the hipsters loved that. That cut became really big. I think I was a early adopter on that general species of haircut, and I got it from like goth guys who were a lot older than me. And then the hipsters loved that shit. And then, once a certain momentous election came around, suddenly that one fucking disappeared. But it was there was a weird trickle down effect where I think the hipsters got it from neo folk and Richard Spencer got it from the hipsters.
That makes sense. I kind of see where that lines up because he's a little bit of an older guy, I think too. I think he's like 45 now.
Yeah, I mean, I remember he said he was really into Depeche Mode, which is an odd, definitely a goofy,
An odd choice for him.
an odd choice. Yes, it's yeah, the not not exactly a cultural flagship.
I like that.
I mean,
finally
I
get to-
don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I think some of those records are great, but I think it slightly conflicts with the thing he would. I don't know if the thing he was going for was like just doing rail after rail in the bathroom of a New York nightclub in the 80s.
I think that God's got a good sense of humor and whatnot.
Yes.
I wanted to ask you, black metal guy, did you know that Black Death Horizon was a host on this show?
I knew as of I think when we talked, yes, when I finally talked to Black Death Horizon, and I was like, and he was like, "Oh, I do this show," and I'm like, "Oh shit, cool." Yeah, it's but I've followed that account for a long time and thought his posts were always great, so that was pretty cool coming full circle. It's nice to actually talk, dude.
Yeah, no, it's cool. And it's funny because when I started messaging on Terminus, I didn't know who I was talking to, whether it was black metal guy or death metal guy. So I just started talking.
Or hyper shaman.
Right. No, that is a confusing thing about it. The way we do it is we got Death Metal Guy handles Facebook, or rather, sorry, back in the day he did. Death Metal Guy doesn't do one of the socials. He's like the Discord.
Discord daddy, yeah.
Yeah, Discord daddy, exactly. And Hyper Shaman does the Facebook, and I do the Instagram. And very often, Hyper Shaman and I will sort of shamefully copy paste each other's posts.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
So
get
I mean,
around.
no, you gotta minimize the work.
Mm-hmm.
It's but yeah, that's the system. We're sort of a Cerberus kind of thing.
Was that the famous black metal guy's phone going off during the show?
It was, yeah, it was
All
an
right,
urgent.
I'm glad we got that.
Yeah, check that out the bingo card.
Yeah, it was an urgent call from Hyperborea.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Don't worry, I delegated it to my secretary. But yeah, so that is the phone. I mean, I suppose I should figure out how to put that on silent.
No, we love
Oh
it.
no.
No, you know what? The funny thing is, it says
makes me
silent
giggle
mode
every
off,
time.
but it still rings. What?
It's like he's
That makes me
recording.
giggle every time. I like that.
All right, nice. It always
makes me
happens.
giggle every time. I like that.
All right, nice. It always happens like right when I'm making an important point. Like this last time, I was like straight up arguing with the death metal guy about riffs, and the phone went off during the latest episode.
Yeah, that was great. I heard that last night. That was a really good episode, and I like how adamant you were about not liking that fucking release.
Thanks, man. I mean, I thought that I thought that the whole of it was compelling, but I had to address the riffs. It's you know, we want to. Yeah, I could see where he was coming from, but I'm glad you appreciated that. Sometimes I wonder, am I spurging out too hard? But,
No, we love it.
yeah,
No,
I gotta.
I think the moments where you guys are extremely critical and extremely like just when you guys are negative, it makes me enjoy the show much more.
I'm yeah, that's the the negativity is like it's a deeply instinctive part of both of us. That's almost just our natural mode is sort of hostile rejection. And you know, we did various, you know, silly metal blogging shit back in the day or whatever. And, you know, we really, sometimes we went so hard it got, you look back on it and you're like, why were we doing that? And to the point where also you get better at presenting your criticism of things than you do at like putting forth a positive ideal, right? And so we wanted this show to be more about like strengthening what is good and ignoring what is bad. Like the most damning thing Terminus does is not talk about something.
Damn.
Like you can tell what is true and what is false by what we don't cover. I mean, obviously there's like good shit we don't cover and that like just isn't really in our wheelhouse. But there are a lot of things that are, I think, noticeably absent. And that's our form of that's our harshest criticism.
Yeah, like what you guys were saying with like the Insta Black and like kind of having to find the needle in the haystack for what you guys want to cover.
Absolutely, yeah. It's yeah, a lot of stuff, a lot of the vampire bands, right? It's you know, yeah, all the sexy vampires, right? We prefer our vampires to be just, you know, desolating the countryside.
The rigor mortis version of vampire.
You gotta have fucking spiked armor, man. But the you know, Gorgoroth Under the Sign of Hell is a very vampire album. You know, but yeah, I'm glad you like the negativity. We've thought at times of doing more negative stuff. A lot of people say they enjoy it, but we currently enjoy having that as a sort of a secret weapon, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely works that way.
Yeah, when it pops up, it's like, oh yeah, we're in for a treat.
Oh damn.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I enjoy like and I think we both enjoy the process of trying to like seriously criticize things while like doing it in a way that like helps the artists. The nicest thing is one of the nicest things anybody ever says about the show is that like they appreciated the criticism, and you know that's pretty cool. And you know that it always like the goal is we never want it to be like a buyer's guide criticism or navel gazing intellectual criticism. We want it to be like, can we actually help the music get better? That's the idea, you know, it's
well. I'll actually say with the first Galicia review that you guys did, the Serpentine Dissension.
yeah.
I took some of that stuff to heart, and even with the second release, some of the criticism that you had, you know, I took all that to mind and actually kind of utilized that for like future stuff.
Oh, thanks, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, and with that too, you know, I told the death metal guy this, but dude, so thankful for the Galicia reviews. They were really great. Those are, I don't know, man, very heartfelt. They just felt awesome.
It was a thrill to hear from you guys, dude. Like that's somebody getting into right because I guess most of your listeners probably know you do Galicia and what it's like, but
Oh,
to
yeah.
us, we had never heard anybody just that sounded remotely like Axis of Advance. It was.
I'm glad you guys picked that up right away too. I wasn't sure if anybody would the one that you guys reviewed, the original one, that really wasn't a total Axis of Advanced worship thing. Like one of the biggest influences was Ouroboros from Canada.
Oh,
That kind of has to do with Sacramentary too.
That's sick, though. I mean, yeah, Paul wanted us to review the Ouroboros thing for Terminus, and we honestly still owe you that one, bro. It's like that will happen eventually. It's funny, the Ouroboros record was really algorithm favored for years. Like, if you liked war metal, you would get that recommended, but I don't think I've ever listened to it.
Oh man, maybe save it for the after hours thing, but it's a terrific album. It's a wild one. I think that was the one that made me think, oh, you can do war metal but melodic. That's kind of the first instance that I heard that. It wasn't Axis of Advance that influenced that. It was Ouroboros that actually kind of took that to speed.
That makes sense though. Like they're pretty same sort of neck of the woods. It's
same drummer from there, so from Sacramentary.
Yeah, Paulus, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I saw Paulus once when he was playing in fucking. His band is completely forgotten. Do you guys remember Weapon?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about them a few times on the show, actually.
Yeah.
No, so not a fan.
I think they're pretty cool. I
like them. I just think that the second and third albums weren't as good as the first, and I really think that what's the guy's name? Bernie being on the first album pushed that one over the edge because that's the guy from Lost, right? He's just insane.
Oh, word, that guy's a maniac, right?
Yeah. So I thought that first album was much more in that vein, and the second and third felt kind of tame in comparison. I still liked them, but wasn't on the same.
Okay, I think I saw them right around when I must have seen them when the third came out, but I knew songs from probably number 2 and maybe number 1. Yeah, it was a weird proposition because it was culturally a war metal band, but sounded more and more just like Reign Chaos or something. You know, am I remembering it right?
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. It looked and felt more war metal than it sounded, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure. But no, Paulus has been super important. I mean, Right So That I Degringolate is always one of those bands I want to listen to more than I do, but it's very cool. So as far as like melodic, so like it'd be interesting just to talk about that whole complex of bands with you guys. Do you like as far as like war metal, that was stuff that is obviously war metal but melodic? You guys fuck with the first Scythian record?
Yeah, I heard that from you guys.
Yep, same here. Heard it from you guys.
Yeah, you showed it. You told me to look through some of the Terminus YouTube playlists, and so that was one of the bands on there, and yeah, they're great.
Yeah, dude, Scythian is that first record was just crushing, and the lyrics are like, there's more of this stuff now, but back then it was like archaeologically informed lyrics about ancient Indo-European warfare and burial customs. Some classical Greece and some classical Greece, following that thread all the way to classical Greece, but it was a lot about like Scythians and the Kurgans and the basically like Yamnaya people and whatever. And it had you could really tell that he both was like reading books about archaeology and watching Conan and getting this sort of awesome insanity vortex out of that. Like
hey, you just get excited from those things and it all combines into one.
Absolutely. That's artistic alchemy, right? It's
that's right.
Yeah, it's but yeah, that record is awesome. I feel like the next one has cool riffs, but I think they sort of think they kind of walked back the ancestral themes a little bit.
Yeah, the first one was definitely the one. I actually was listening
Yes.
to that first album this week, and I didn't realize this, but that had members of a band that I have listened to a few times called Craven Idol, and
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we were
yeah, so
talking
I
about them
sent
last week, weren't
yeah we were, and I sent Paul the newest Craven Idol album, and I'm like, yeah, check this out, maybe there's something cool in here. And I sent it to him as I was listening to it, and then I messaged him right away. I'm like, just listen to Scythian.
That's kind of how I felt. I could tell it was the same guitar style, but it wasn't quite what I wanted.
Exactly.
Like-
It wasn't doing what Scythian was doing.
You ever listen to? Okay, this is a weird one. You ever listen to Crom Doob?
Nope. I never heard of that.
Well,
Crom
okay, so
Doob.
there's a reason you haven't heard about it because their 2019 record just straight up sucked ass, like almost nothing I've ever heard. But it's weird. It was like Irish black metal that always had, although sort of British, I guess Celtic themed Brittonic black metal that always had a strong, let's say a a whiff of a whiff of post black about it, right? But like on their first record, Heimweh, they kind of really pulled it out because you could tell it was just like deeply schooled in the most reptile-brained, primordial folk aspects of Graveland and Druidkin shit, but like taking that back to the Celtic stuff Graveland was referencing. Really cool, genuine sort of Irish-sounding folk melodies with drone stuff under it. And some stuff that sounds kind of like really sentimental, like Lord of the Rings, we're all in the tavern and crying stuff. But like, yeah, I feel like they earn it, you know? But like, it's really cool. And the guitarist from fucking Scythian, one of them, S. Vrath, plays on that. And you can actually, I feel like he was doing more than just like playing the guitar part someone else had written. You can really hear all the coolest guitar shit from Scythian you can hear on the first Crom Doob record. And it's got that kind of Bronze Age warrior vibe that went missing after that from Scythian.
As opposed to the Bronze Age pervert vibe.
Well, I think they're probably pretty similar. those are the same vibe. I don't know what the Bronze Age maybe the ultimate merger of sort of war metal aesthetics and perversion, of course, is Satagua.
The way you describe that almost reminds me of Samain. I
Yeah.
believe that's the way you say that band.
Oh yeah, we did a Samain review.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I feel like Samain is awesome. I feel like they're like better than Crom Doob, like by a long shot, but it is quite similar.
Yeah, I haven't found anything that scratches that itch like quite as well as that album does.
Those guys were nuts, man. Like the lyrics are just, the lyrics are genius, and it's just like he's writing out of the cattle raid of Ulster. It's just like they're there.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we said it on the show or not, but the death metal guy and I were cackling about just what a drunk album it is. Like,
Yeah,
you can tell they're like amazing musicians, but they've got to be shit canned.
Oh, where he's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, the confidence, huh?
Yes, the confidence, exactly. Yeah.
You need to commit. That's the point.
Dude, I remember being in a practice room once, and just while I was playing, I started improvising. Like, I started just doing like sort of Kaldrad vocals, but with fake Russian, and it was
Dude,
something
I've
I could
done that
never
too.
really. I could never really. It's a particular. You can't reproduce it on command, but every once in a while it just comes. It just comes out, and it's.
You
like,
can't reproduce that in English. I've actually done that too,
Yes.
where you try to sound like Kaldrad in Russian, like doing that yelling, almost hardcore vocal thing.
You need the Slavic syllables, right? Like.
Kind of need that.
Slava smrti, svoboda,
Or like,
snesni, smosnyoda, da svoboda vidjaya.
Yeah, it's kind of like that Nitberg song. I forget the name of it. He's like, "Und the Slava, oh this
Yes.
the Slava." Yeah,
It's
Yeah,
amazing
that's-
how they're almost able to put an equal amount of emphasis on every single syllable.
yeah, that is incredible.
That's a good point, isn't it? That's
It
I had
really,
not.
yeah, it really is. That's good. That's good for them.
That's a very good point. That's emphasizing syllables is not even something you think about with metal vocals, but that's got to be important, huh?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. It's who else has good? I mean, who else has good like audible vocals? That's a whole interesting category in itself, where you can like basically hear the lyrics, and the fact that you can hear the lyrics makes it harder instead of like closer to heavy metal.
I don't know. The first one's come to my head is Cannibal Corpse Deicide, but I think that's more death metal.
Oh, that's still I'm counting death metal.
I thought you-
I'm not prejudiced. I do a pod. My best friend is a death metal guy.
I was trying to bring up this band last time, Swars,
Thwars?
from Poland. I can never remember how to spell this band or how to look for them. The dude from the band had another project called Wandering Wind, but in Polish. That's like the only way I can think to find them. But they had a really great kind of Call Dread vocal styling.
Like
yeah,
Call
that's-
Drad's clean vocals or growled vocals?
It kind of halfway point.
Because when I think of Call Drad's clean vocals, I just go right back to Fenriz on Isengard, right?
yeah.
And kind of, I guess, Urfaust as well. But they kind of take it to a goofier extreme.
Yeah, okay, the band is spelled Stworz.
Oh, those guys, I remember.
Yeah, Stwars. There you go. This band is terrific. If you haven't heard them before.
I found some of it a little too poppy for me, but it probably depends on the record. What's the record?
The one that I'm thinking of specifically it was like a comp or something with a Viking on it.
Nice.
A comp with a Viking on it. Dude, I'm sure I can find this and I'll send it to you. It's terrific.
All right, that sounds
to come
great.
back
I
to
mean,
that.
I think I think Stworz shares a member with. No, never mind. Is there? No, he's got another thing called Prav that's like sort of Hindu mysticism. But I thought it shared something connection with. I thought it shared a connection with Slavland, but I don't think it does.
No.
Yeah.
Well, did you ever hear the other band that the guy does, Wandering Wind? But it's like Wader Whittier. That's
Oh! It's that one that I can never say.
The 2013 album is actually it's fucking pretty good. As far as like atmospheric black metal goes, because I'm not the hugest fan of that kind of stuff, but this album is I still think this is one that holds up.
Cool. Yeah, it's I remember. Yeah, the 2013. I think I've heard the 2016 one.
Okay.
Yeah, which wasn't really my thing, but yeah, some people were saying good things on the Discord the other day.
You know, as far as Paul was talking about like Instagram black metal, and you guys kind of, I think you guys have somebody that like searches through this stuff, like sifts through it and finds the good stuff. And I think that Mexican nationalist band that you guys covered on your latest podcast was probably my favorite out of all those bands.
Oh yeah, I'm glad you liked him. That record was kind of threw us both for a loop, isn't it? Kind of surprising.
Yeah, and even the Pregnant Light song that you guys played, the death metal guy had brought them up to me. He's like, "Oh, some of the Galicia stuff sounds like a Pregnant Light," and I had never heard of it. And plus, like, you guys were kind of talking about maybe American metalcore or hardcore influence. I really don't know anything about that kind of stuff, but that's interesting that those comparisons came up. I like that's heard.
Did you like the APL track?
Yeah, I did. I really did. That was fucking cool.
That dude is fucking awesome. He's a friend of mine. You should listen to the bonus. I did this like weird kind of essay episode where I like did a long review and then I interviewed him. You should check that out. That's a pretty good primer on the band.
Okay,
It's
so a pregnant light.
yeah, and the cool thing about it is, yeah, it exists in this kind of world of like, emo to hardcore spectrum, but it really does, everything about the music we like is there.
Okay.
It's yeah.
Man,
Hey,
I was gonna say, so we're like 30 minutes deep in the episode, but I was gonna say maybe a formal introduction that we got the black metal guy on here.
Sure. Should
how
I
do you
introduce?
interpret? How do you interpret Terminus? Because the death metal guy did it, but how would you do it?
Yeah, like what's the history behind it, and
I loved hearing his interpretation. It was cool. It was cool hearing you guys talk about that. We have I think we have kind of we've got a master narrative for it, but like I'll give my own version. I mean, so yeah, we've been talking about metal that since we first quote unquote met on the internet on Match.com. And
Okay.
metalhead meat.
Where metalheads
yeah.
meet.
Yeah, where metalheads meet, exactly. Yeah. But I'm trying to think of a follow-up joke to that, but there's too much.
Overwhelming.
No.
We've known each other for about like 12 years or something, and we've always had this correspondence about metal. And I think Terminus started because we had both done stints writing in various ways, and then both just not for a long time. But we couldn't stop thinking about this shit. Like what I told him, we talked about doing the show. When we first talked about doing the show, I was like, dude, we should do a podcast because I wish I could be thinking about like other things, but like I'm writing reviews for black metal records when I'm like taking a shit. I'm writing reviews for black metal records when I'm taking a shower, like when I'm like tying my shoes. It's sort of I almost wish I could be less obsessed with this stuff so I could focus on other things a little more, but that's just not how it is. And so there was just, and he's the same way, right? So there's just this I was like, we could do a show where there's a constant basically like we may as well externalize this and in a setting that allows us to do it in a more sort of informal way. Actually, it was the death metal guys. I didn't even basically know what a podcast was when this started. I was like, oh, we should do metal criticism, but as like a YouTube kind of thing. And the death metal guy had to be like, well, there's this thing called podcasts. We did one funny piece of trivia is that there's actually, I don't know if they still exist, the files may be gone, but we recorded 2 episodes of Terminus in like summer of 2019, I think. We took a stab at it and then shelved it for various reasons. And then the next summer, the death metal guy sort of nudged me about it. He was like, hey, I'm thinking like, because it was a perfect time, right? We were, everyone was locked in their fucking houses and had a bunch of like fake funny money to spend and was spending a lot of time on the internet. And it's like, okay, well, this is the now or never time to start the show. And so he got in touch about it and was like, well, fuck, yeah, we got to do it. It was, and at the time, the only podcast I'd ever listened to was the Joe Rogan show. And so it seemed perfectly normal to me that we would talk for 3 hours.
Bitches.
Yeah, what's up, freak bitch? I know, yeah. Wait, did you just make the monkey sound?
I tried to.
I think Paul did.
Wow, that was uncanny. But yeah, so I just listened to Joe Rogan interviewing guys about Atlantis or whatever, and
The Clockwork Elves and whatnot.
yeah, for sure, yes, exactly. So that was kind of my only reference point. And I guess the other thing, I think the thing that we wanted to be central was like it just seemed underexplored for doing serious reviews of records, right? There are a few other people. Obviously, we love your show. We love the Radio Free Innsmouth and stuff, right? But I didn't know about your show didn't exist. I didn't know RFI when we started this, and the goal was how do you take advantage of the digital format to do serious metal criticism? And so it's like, well, we can, if you read serious criticism, right, of like literature or something, you quote from the thing as evidence. If you, and kind of a lot of, if you read like serious criticism on classical music or whatever, that, you can't quote from it, but there's like technical discussion of like qualities of how it's written, right? And we both sort of attempted to do that in writing, but the best way you can possibly do it is by sampling songs. And, that wasn't an approach either of us had heard. And so we made that the center of the show. And the goal was we can use the rapid fire nature of podcasting, right? Where, hey, we can meet up and talk about this shit about once a week, to essentially put out the volume of a full zine or magazine, right? And to track, the last thing was, how do you track the evolution of the underground, like as it goes in real time? We're not like sort of neurotic about that. Like at this point, we will like review something from 2 months ago, or maybe even a year ago if we feel like it for some reason. But the goal has been always to have this sort of like a kind of chronicle of what's happening. But yeah, that's about all the main thing. And then Nick from Hessian discovered us about a month in, and suddenly we had listeners.
There you go.
Yeah.
You guys have been really good with the kind of recent releases, because a lot of the stuff you guys cover, I had never heard of, and I probably would have never heard of it besides, if you guys hadn't talked about it.
Well, thanks, dude. I mean, I feel like this year has been a boon to us in that I think it's a number of reasons, but like all the good records, all the records that I think a lot of records that people were taking their time on got seriously held up by the supply chain collapse, and by disruptions to everyone's lives and whatever that happened in 2020. And so it seems like a lot of big releases are coming out now. And we like used to love this process of like combing around for totally random shit, or like finding newer bands where we could really do constructive criticism or whatever. And lately it's just like, here's a new record from Primordial, here's a new record from Profanatica, here's a new record from Argoslent. There's just all these, I mean, there's a new Demoncy out now?
Yeah.
Yep, new Demoncy, new Verathron, new Dusk. It's just, everything's kind of
Yeah,
piling on.
and when you go you go a couple notches down from that, just like bands we followed, I don't know, Passeism, right? That came out. It's been or the new, I mean, everyone is obviously really fired up for the new Necropole, right? Which is hard. There's been so much shit that's come out since then. I almost can't even imagine that being from this year, but it was. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, and the joke was in 2022 there was like no black metal releases coming out, and it's like 2023. It's like you could just throw a rock and find one.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely been good. I guess, but the constraint in 2022 was good because we just started having a lot more death metal, and it meant I had to think more about death metal and work to. I mean, that's been part of the process of the show the whole time, right? It's like me learning to more appreciate death metal on its own terms, and I think I think maybe the death metal guys always listened to more black metal than I did death metal back in the day, but him to appreciate some of the weirder recesses of black metal on their own terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like discover one of the coolest things about the show for me has been like having him talk me through brutal death.
Oh, I know. I love those episodes.
Yeah,
Paul's the brutal death guy.
Have
He's
you
got
been
me
into
doing it a
brutal-
lot recently.
Have you been into brutal death as long as you've been into metal, Paul?
I made like the jump from like new metal in like elementary school, and then went to like, the primer sort of thrash bands like Metallica, Megadeth, then into Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, and then the next extreme was Brutal Death. So yeah, and
Oh, that
Paul
kind
was
of
into
makes
brutal
sense.
death.
So like
Paul was into brutal death in like middle school, so it all went pretty quickly.
yeah,
that kind of makes sense. So like basically before, because we've talked on the show about how brutal death has so little to do with a lot of canonical 90s death metal. So like and how it kind of sounds like exaggerated thrash. So like you hear the thrash bands and the kind of most brutal, gory original death metal bands, and then you're like, okay, the next step from this is obviously brutal death metal.
yeah, and then the imagery at a middle school age is gonna catch your eye.
For sure. It's yeah. What was the first brutal death band for you?
It must have been like Putrepile, and then one of my friends' older brothers would like show like Infernal Revulsion and Dying Fetus and bands like that. So it was like sort of more in the underground, more so than the popular bands for brutal death.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, you got it. You got into it. You basically had someone who knew what was up to show you the ropes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What brutal death do you like now, Dan?
That I like now.
Yeah.
What the fuck was the name of that band? Hemorrhage? Paul, I don't even remember.
Cerebral Hemorrhage.
Cerebral Hemorrhage. I've been listening to Deaden a lot lately.
Deaden. That's a good name.
Yeah, Deaden. Let me see. I can actually take a look here.
Yeah, Alienation Mental.
Alienation Mental.
I know you liked them earlier.
I mostly like. I've always kind of liked brutal death, but the stuff that I liked was more like stuff that's just exiting the old school and then getting into it. So stuff from like 98, 99, like Wormed. That was probably one of the first brutal death bands that I ever listened to.
I'm not even sure I realized Wormed was brutal death, but yeah, that's a cool band. Or
Yeah,
like
Wormed was-
Origin or something.
Not for me. I still really haven't gotten into Origin. Who the fuck else is really good? Oh, what the fuck is that band called? Digested Flesh. I like them a lot.
Skinless.
yeah, I like
the first,
Skinless.
yeah, the first Skinless album is pretty good.
Fred, I imagine you are not into brutal death.
I, in limited quantities, like it has to hit me just right for me to, like, if I hear brutal death metal, I'm not going to dislike it. But for me to actually say go out and actually buy an album, it has to hit me just the right way.
For sure. I'm about in the same place as you. I mean, I think to this day I've bought one and it was on Bandcamp. Like I bought the Induced record. And I've listened to it some. I mean that shit's pretty cool. It's like that was the first one I heard where I was like, "Oh, this sounds like war metal." And I guess I mean Concrete Winds is kind of right at the brutal death war metal crossroads. So I guess I listened to them a ton. The first record at least. But the
They feel a little bit more necrovore-ish to me. Concrete Winds.
that's legitimate. I think they have a wonderful quality of sounding like all of the best, craziest shit. Like everyone it's like a Rorschach test band. That's what the death metal guy would say. It's like there's like probably like 5 different kinds of super marginal gorked extreme metal, and they sound like all of them, right? But yeah, it sounds like Necrovore. It I think has a lot of timbral stuff from Brutal Death and some of the speed and a total atonality. And obviously just the sort of kill riffs of war metal and whatnot. But and it sounds really new and really old simultaneously.
Yeah.
But but yeah, a funny thing is that now, I think I can sort of pass as a Brutal Death fan in that I've had a nice rolling thread with the death metal shitposting guy.
Yeah,
Um,
he's great.
Shout out to death metal shitposting. He discovered Terminus like, I don't know, 6 months ago and has been
Yeah, just posting about it, reposting.
boosting
Yeah,
our
he's been doing
signal
this-
immensely.
Yeah, he's been doing the same for us. Yeah, he's next. He's actually the next guy.
Next
Oh,
guest,
sick.
yeah.
I was wondering if he'd gone on yet. Yeah.
No, not yet. He's next.
Yeah,
We got a
so
million people. We got a million people in the line. So I feel like if we give away something, it's not that bad.
No, that's cool. Well, that's advertising, man. I mean,
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Get ready, everybody.
Well,
Yeah, analytics.
it's cool that you're doing that. Like, it's cool that you're doing that because it sort of assembles. We like to talk about the Terminus co-prosperity sphere or whatever, but that's just us like name dropping people. It's cool what you guys are doing, like bringing together your entire extended circle.
Well, it
Yeah,
felt even
everybody in
more.
the circle is first.
I was gonna say it felt even more alive with actually going and playing with the death metal guy.
Yeah, dude, that's really exciting, and hopefully more shows like that can happen.
Yeah, definitely. Because you guys got a far reach to like, was it Thailand and obviously in Europe and a bunch of
Thailand,
bands like that.
Vietnam. We've only infiltrated Southeast Asia because we're banned in China. No,
You didn't say that dude looked like Winnie the Pooh, did you?
no.
Okay, good.
That'll be our next thumbnail.
No.
No, there's no, we have Southeast. We have Southeast Asia in a firm control. It's pretty cool. Aside from, I saw on Spotify, it really varies depending on the platform, but on Spotify, aside from like, I don't know, the US and Canada or the US and Great Britain, our next two are Finland and Poland, which is like exactly what I would want.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, we have 1% in Switzerland and 1% listeners in Lebanon.
There you go.
Lebanon. Are those like the members of Damar?
I don't, dude. I don't know.
No, they
Like the
converted
me-
back. They converted back to Islam, didn't they?
Did they?
It's the
I
guys.
thought
It's
they
the guys.
moved- I
It's the
thought
guys
they
from
moved to the
Ayat.
States.
Oh wait, the guy from Wait, so Ayat is a Muslim band?
No, they. I think the Mar guys converted back, and that's why that will probably never be reissued. But as far as I know, the Ayat guys are still
Oh,
just the way they
Oh,
are.
word.
I thought
I always
Damar moved
assumed
back to the States.
I assumed Damar were Maronites. Like
I don't
not.
know. I just remember hearing that
Christians,
I just remember hearing that the reason it wouldn't be reissued is because they had converted back to Islam. But
but interesting. Well, that's disappointing, but what can you do? It's Well, now they're just churning out a bunch of like shit tier garage NS releases on Asrar under various pseudonyms.
God.
Is that what they're
like,
actually doing?
No, that's complete fake news.
It sounded fake, but I had to ask just because I can imagine that would have happened, maybe.
Right, just like everything. I mean, like every fucking
Garage NS.
every other Azra release has like some new kind of new ethnic gimmick.
Yeah.
So
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, it's always insert whatever nationalist. It's always
Right.
something.
Right, true Lebanese jihad, true Shia jihadi black metal.
That's right.
I mean but yeah, so I mean, hey, at least the Shia do cool shit like beat themselves in the street with like metal flails. That's pretty metal. But yeah, so Damar converted back. Interesting. That's.
I mean,
everyone's like,
don't take my word for it.
Don't
That's
quote
just
him
what I
on
remember
that.
Yeah,
hearing,
Black Death Horizon quote.
for sure. We won't. Yeah, we don't want to spread it. It's always good. Yeah, it's good to just flag and say unconfirmed sources.
In quotations, Damar be Muslim again.
Damar be Muslim?
They be Muslim.
No way. The cap.
Hey, no cap?
No, I think cap means bull, right? I'm not even sure, but I think
I don't know. I don't know the Zoomer language.
I don't either. That's why I said
For
it.
That's cap. Yeah.
for I am a millennial.
Damar be Muslim again? Cap.
You cap.
That'll be our fucking clickbait title.
Yeah, that'll be
Yeah,
the
and then
short.
we'll have like it'll be all of us like soy jacking in the fucking thumbnail.
Right.
Dude, your thumbnail for the stream though with the young ones.
Young ones, yeah, we kind of wanted to get into that a little bit.
I'm glad you
We had
liked
talked-
that.
Yeah, I had the
Very
where did I
metal.
see the young ones. I think I saw the young ones on I want to say in 2011 there was like an MTV Rewind where they brought back a bunch of shows that they used to play, and I was watching that like religiously, and then boom, the young ones come on. I was like, dude,
Cool.
this show is fucking amazing.
Dude, I'm glad you. So I feel like somehow I knew that you guys, or maybe Dan, liked the young
Yeah.
ones. I feel like, where have you referenced it before?
The last thumbnail, right?
The last thumbnail was Rick Mail and that what's his name, Abe, the two main guys from the young ones.
Oh,
on their next show,
interesting.
on their next show, Bottom. I don't know if you've ever seen that or not.
No.
Oh man.
Oh, dude, it's actually kind of better than the young ones.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's you can watch it on Amazon. Bottom, it's fucking awesome.
Bottom, all right. Did
Yeah,
you,
but with that, or go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure Ares Kingdom, I think, records all their records in a home. Let me confirm this, but I'm pretty sure they bill their records as recorded in Very Metal Studios, which is their home
You know
studio.
what? That sounds familiar because I know for a fact that Alan from Primordial is a big fan of Rick Mail and the young ones.
And he had an interview with Chuck, right?
Wait, the metalhead on the young ones is, you've probably seen the show a little more recently than me. The metalhead's name is what?
His name is Vivian.
Yeah, Viv. Yeah. Viv is like, yeah, Viv is obviously the best. But the
Yeah,
the
me and Paul
intro.
watched.
What?
As in me and Paul watched an episode. He's wearing the debut Saxon album T-shirt in like '82.
Sick. That's awesome. He's also a good sort of like, TV, they've got to sort of be slightly, they've got to combine tropes a little bit for the audience. So I like that they gave him all the coolest shit about punk culture at the time too. So he's kind of gotten ahead.
He's like the punk metal guy, kind of.
Yeah, he's gotten ahead of his time metal punk look. Like that shit would have just existed in '82.
He's basically like a new wave British heavy metal kind of guy.
Did you see the show where they? Did you see the show where they had Motorhead on?
Yeah, I was telling Paul about that too. They always had they had Motorhead, they had the Damned, and kind of a bunch of different like new wave bands.
I forgot. I didn't realize they had the Damned on. That's sick.
Yeah, they did have the Damned.
Have you heard the lore about the Motorhead Damned show?
No, I don't think so.
Well, so Lemmy, right? One of the things that's like almost impossible for us to conceive of growing up in the era we did, right, is I'm sure you guys know about this. It's just weird to think about the sheer gang-like tribal animosity between the various subcultures.
Yeah.
And so like
Set the entire plot of SLC Punk.
yeah. So Motorhead
Anarchy in the UK, man.
yeah, Motorhead were like the only metal associated with the band who were like hip to punk, and they did a tour, they did a show with the Damned, and you can really hear the influence of each band in the other, right? There's a song on the first Damned record that sounds like stuff Motorhead were sort of already doing or just beginning to do. Born to Kill sounds like a Motorhead song. But Motorhead and Damned did a show together, and their crowd just had a massive fight. Just like short hairs versus long hairs. It was
the mods versus the rockers.
I guess it's sort of the continuation of that. That's true. Although I always associate the rockers with like shit like the Rolling Stones.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think the mods were just like kind of the new wave-ish kind of people just when that was coming out?
No, it's older than that. Mod shit is weird. Okay, so I can talk about this because I was like, as like a teenager, I was more into punk stuff, right? I was only really getting into more metal territory by the time I was like, I don't know, 16, 17. But the mods, I didn't get Rain in Blood till I was like, I don't know, just turned 18 or something. But the mods were a 60s subculture. So do you know, I like the Who were a mod band.
Okay.
It's hard to tether to a sound because the Who were a mod band, but then the mods were. What?
Is the 60s like psychedelic rock thing, that's like mod, right?
No, that's hippies. I think like mods were like specifically British urban working class kids with money from good jobs. And they sort of, the whole thing was we dress sharp and they listened to music that it was at some distance from like rock and roll. So they were into like cutting edge black British music, like, you know, or stuff influenced by that. So they're like Northern Soul. What?
Oh no, I was asking Paul if he needed a lighter. He just walked back to my desk asking if I had an extra beer.
Oh, I didn't realize you guys were recording in the same room. That's awesome.
Usually don't, but we have practice right after this, so today we are.
Sick. The but they but you know they were into like Northern Soul and all. They were into soul music and into Northern Soul, which is the British white person version of it. And they were into like reggae and 60s ska, like early ska and stuff like that.
Is that like the Specials and like Prince Buster and stuff?
The Specials was late 70s. So the Specials did not exist. It was, they were into this combination of like soul stuff and then shit like the Who originally billed themselves as Maximum R&B, which is a weird label, right? But they didn't call themselves a rock and roll.
That sounds cool.
It's a sick label.
Maximum R&B.
Well, then you had the punk scene in the 80s, which was the hardcore scene, which figured like, okay, if the Who, which is like very hard rock from the time, called itself Maximum R&B, we're going to be Maximum Rock and Roll, right? But the I mean, MRR I have very mixed feelings about, but yeah, so mods were this kind of like chic, I guess proto hipster but very tough kind of faction, and rockers were like the dudes with leather jackets and bikes. Mods rode around on the stupid little Vespa scooters,
right?
Which was like, it was a flex. It was like rappers wearing pink, right? It was
almost like the Austin Powers look.
Yeah, it was like I'm so cool and masculine. I can ride this dorky little scooter.
Yeah, I'm a badass. I can do whatever I want.
Right. And
I can look like a, you know.
Right. And the rockers were like the beginning of. I mean, I guess it really was just the beginning of biker gang culture, but they were listening to like stupid shit like the Rolling Stones, and then like during the 70s, I think it became your typical like AC/DC proto metal biker thing.
Oi, what you on about?
Yeah. Exactly. But but so on the young ones, Wick Mayall is a
what was his name? Rick the Prick. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, Rick the Prick. Right. Rick is a 70s kind of like post-punk student guy.
I always assumed he was like the new wave guy.
Yeah, new wave is more accurate. Yes, he's sort of like again, like Viv,
he puts on the Heaven 17 record on the show. So he's definitely the new wave guy.
Yeah, he's not cool enough to be post-punk, basically. Like, that's true, but he sort of dresses in a way we would associate with that now. I guess I'm using post-punk in the broad sense. Like, he's not really into punk rock per se, but he's.
I just realized the other guy from the young ones is on bottom. That like little short guy who nobody cared about.
Oh, the cool guy.
The like straight man.
Yeah, that's what they called him. His name was his subculture was he's the cool guy.
Yeah, I think on the young ones he's not the young ones. On bottom he's Little David Hedgehog. That's his name.
Yeah. But Rick is basically like the kind of guy. Rick dresses like a mod in a way that would come from like punk bands who were referencing mod culture, like the Jam.
Yes, yeah, that's perfect. The Jam is perfect to represent Rick.
Yes. He's like Rick. He's like the Jam. I'm sure Rick is a huge fan of like the Clash, especially their like inferior albums, and then
Yeah.
like and then yeah, all this like new wave shit that we totally forget.
Yeah,
It's,
we have a friend who's actually kind of a mod himself. He looks like that. He's got the haircut, and he's listening to all that same stuff from those days.
Yeah.
I think one of his favorite bands is the Clash.
Yeah, Little Vince.
Little
I kinda
Vince, his name is.
Little Vince. He's literally called Little Vince.
Yes,
That's his name.
Since the day we known him.
Wow, I fucking respect that. That's commitment, right? Anytime
Gonna hear
anyone
this episode, and he's gonna smile.
anytime anyone really goes for it, right? I've got to salute that. The Clash, the first Clash record was the first, maybe the second punk record I ever got, and I actually can. A lot of that stuff I can't go back and listen to, but the first Clash record I can.
I feel like
still
the Clash
that.
has some hits. I mean, for me, it's probably gonna be like radio hits. So like, what's that damn song? Spanish Bombs is pretty good.
Yeah, I was gonna say once you go black metal, it can't go back.
You can't go back. Yeah, maybe not.
Once you go black metal, you cannot backpedal.
Exactly. You can't. You have to go forward. Once you go black metal, you have to go back. I wanted to ask you before we have to move on. What are some of your what are some of the top tier shows or movies that you can just think of off the top of your head? Because I was curious about that. We talk about that sometimes.
Well, I should preface it with I've never been a big TV or movie guy.
Okay. I think I'm the. Well, would you say that, Paul? I'm the TV guy.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
You're
I
the
watch
TV
a
guide.
lot. I'm the TV guide.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what would you say, Black Metal?
But I can describe my taste in these areas because I'm a fucking nerd who does nothing about talk about his taste in various areas. So
That's good.
So with movies, I tend to like movies that are not the typical like 90 minutes to 2 hour sort of novelistic plot arc, but stuff that's very focused. And so like a single kind of follows a single kind of activity or process. I think my favorite movie is The Duelists by Ridley Scott. That was his first one. Dude, you guys would love it.
All right, I'll check it out. I've only seen Alien. Oh, I actually saw that TV show they did, Raised by Wolves. That was pretty good.
Well, here's another one. He also, I always forget it, but he also did Blade Runner.
Oh, I like Blade Runner. I actually
No,
like the guy
that's my
who
favorite
did
movie.
the soundtrack for that.
Yeah.
Vangelis from Aphrodite's Child.
Yeah, Vangelis is awesome. Yeah, dude, Fred, Blade Runner is another one of my favorites. Yeah.
Yeah, all-time favorite for me. Okay, here's the question. What did you think of the sequel?
The Blade, I thought it was all right. I think I expected to dislike it more than I expected to dislike it, and although there were things about it that were, let's say there were some, I think it was about the best sequel anyone could have made, given you have to deal with Hollywood in 2020 or whatever it was. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
that's fair.
it was about I thought Gosling did a really good job. I thought they didn't make it too much like synthwave, which was nice.
Like Drive or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, it makes sense that they would have some of that in there, but like, fair enough. But it wasn't like neoned out. The atmosphere was still there. The hot robot girls were still hot robot girls. I think some of the shit at the end was very goofy, right? We are the robot resistance army, or like, you thought you were hey, white male protagonist, you thought you were the protagonist. Now it's your turn to roll over and die. But
All
like,
right, this is getting too political. I'm leaving.
but
Sorry.
no, that was good. But like, I think the overall atmosphere. I don't know. I don't have elaborate thoughts on it. I thought the fight at the end was stupid too, where they're just trying to choke each other out underwater. You know, like, you know, you know what I mean. But like, I don't know. What did you think, Fred?
It's way better than a sequel that came, what, 32 years after the original should have been.
Yeah, that's what I think.
There are parts I don't like. Like I said, that fight at the end isn't the greatest, but the atmosphere wins me over. I still prefer the original by miles, but it's no, I really liked it. I was not disappointed. I went in ready to hate it. I'm like, you know what? The
Yeah,
first one is a perfect movie, and here we are with a sequel. God knows how many years later.
yeah, yeah. I thought it did a really good job. I mean, I think you can ask questions about whether the kind of dystopia it presents is now
To the
that we
source
are
material
where we
and
are. Is what?
no, I was just saying it was loyal to the source material, and it didn't screw the pooch by answering questions that the original left unanswered intentionally, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like the whole is Deckard a replicant or not? They never actually answered that in the sequel either, and that's good because that's the entire point of the first one. If they answered it, it would have ruined the whole thing.
Having Harrison Ford again, also like obviously that gesture was. I mean, I haven't seen any of them, but I guess they did shit like that with the new Star Wars movies, and it just seemed horribly, just gross. But like
Shoehorned.
seeing Harrison Ford again in that movie where he was like at home and where it made sense, that was, I have to say that really was cool. I was like, hey,
Yeah.
it's that guy. It's the guy. There he
They didn't.
is.
They didn't overdo it or ham it up. It was fit in naturally.
Yeah, that whole hideout he's got tripped up with all those traps, like that's pretty neat. Yeah, I thought it was
The,
pretty
the
cool.
whole plot with him having a kid with Rachel and it's great because they had a kid together. Replicants aren't supposed to be able to have kids, and
Yeah,
it doesn't matter if he's human or not because Rachel's a replicant. She had a kid. It doesn't matter if one of them was human.
oh, I see
because-
what you mean. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Nerd alert.
yeah. No, it's
Yeah, we're aware of that.
yeah. No, so this
Paul only laughed because Fred said "screw the pooch."
dude, screw the pooch is an amazing. That's one of those terms of phrase you hear like once a year, and each time you remember how good it is. It's like
Yeah,
Like,
we do
that's-
things like that up in Canada.
it gets
No,
lonely.
not like literally screwing pooches. We use
yeah.
we use good phrases.
I like
Well, I
the
literally screwing the pooch, eh?
I like the southern one. It's like you're just holding it down. I'm fucking it.
Southern rape colloquialisms.
I think that's I think that's a project coming out on Azrar. Yeah, I guess in general I could say like I like 70s punk cinema or 70s and 80s punk cinema, right? Stuff that's kind of shitty in the way that a lot of the music I like is kind of shitty or that, has not quote unquote aged well effects wise. Conan movie I also love. I like I like Kurosawa stuff. I've watched a lot of. I've obviously watched a lot of anime. Not like, I wouldn't stand up to a hardcore weeb in anime trivia, but I've watched like Ghost in the Shell is awesome. I love
Have
that.
you seen Have you seen Space Dandy?
I have not.
That is the same guy who does Cowboy Bebop.
Oh, cool.
It's incredible. If you haven't seen Space Dandy, I recommend you watch it. Only 26 episodes. I describe it as like Johnny Bravo in space. It's dank.
That's that's funny. I mean, yeah, I've actually started watching some of the Bebop show again with my gal, but
Watch Space Dandy with your gal. You're gonna have a great time.
Yeah, boobies.
All right, excellent. That's
One more question for you, or go ahead, finish your
No,
sentence.
no. I mean, I guess that's about it. I mean, I don't know. I basically cried during the Eagle. Um, the, have you ever seen that one? That's a fucking obscure one.
Never heard
No,
of that.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's an adaptation of I can't go down this rabbit hole too much, but some books that impacted me deeply as a kid were by a British novelist called Rosemary Sutcliffe, who wrote, I guess she was one of the last people in the 20th century writing what you would call like Victorian boys books, like Rudyard Kipling and stuff, sort of like robust adventure fiction.
I was gonna say the Hardy Boys.
No, more like no. These were about these were about the Roman Empire in Britain, and written from every different perspective in a way that didn't make anyone the good guys or the bad guys. It was just different, different cultures struggling against each other, but also finding common ground and interacting and stuff, right? So you had
Different perspectives, maybe.
Absolutely, yeah. So you have Romans and your Celts and then your Saxon invaders and all that, and a lot of different stories within that. But for some reason, they made a Hollywood movie about retrieving the Eagle standard of the Ninth Legion called The Eagle. And it had Channing Tatum in it as the most deezed Roman centurion ever.
I remember that.
And he had
remember
to,
that.
he has to team up with a skinny Celt guy, and they go, they go fight Picts. And I mean, I'm sure somebody who knows more about movies than me could ask questions about the filmmaking, but just seeing that story on screen was awesome. But yeah, it's
like a weirdo Roman buddy cop movie.
it is a buddy cop movie. It's exactly that. It's like, wow, I guess I'm. Never thought I'd die fighting side by side with a Roman. How about with a friend?
As long as it don't go broke back.
Well, I remember the New York Times critic at the time said that for a movie that dealt so much with two men hanging out, it wasn't homoerotic enough, which told me something about the New York Times. But yeah, no, it's just no. The great thing is the story comes from long before. Everything about male friendship had to be gay, so it's actually just a heartwarming story of honor and loyalty.
I feel warmer just hearing that.
48 Hours with Eddie Murphy sounds like a more modern version of what that could be.
Anyway, so you were going to ask one more thing, or have I rambled enough?
I wanted to ask you one more thing before we have to change into it. You actually mentioned on a comment for our episode with Lullaby, you asked if it was anything like NME. And I was kind of surprised that you would be into a band like that.
NME?
NME, yeah. And I kind of wanted to ask, like, because you guys don't usually get into it on the show about old school kind of stuff, and that's kind of what we get into mostly is old 80s quote unquote true metal.
Right.
What are some of your favorite releases or bands like that, like Enemy?
That is funny, isn't it? Like I guess we talk about the stuff that comes up in the prehistories of the 90s bands, but there's a certain kind of like really gronked underground stuff that just doesn't get mentioned that much.
Yeah.
God, I mean, it's not like I listen to NME regularly, but I listened to it enough as a teenager with Blogspot to be like, oh, this is sick. Right?
It is sick, but yeah, it's not. You're not going to come back to it all the time.
No, but it's awesome. I mean, in that vein, I'm sure then you guys know Warfare. Which is
we
like
talked about him a couple episodes ago.
Rose petals fall from her face. So that's. For the listeners who don't know, NME is like, the most fucked up, incompetent version of Motorhead you could ever imagine, and Warfare is worse. Warfare is literally atonal. It sounds like Japanese noisecore, which is the highest compliment I can pay anything.
What are your true metal favorites? Yeah. I guess is what I'm asking.
Yeah, true metal favorites.
80s, 90s, in that vein.
I mean, like in that vein, I'm Deathstrike for sure.
Oh, beautiful. There you go. Yeah, I love
yeah.
Deathstrike.
Yeah, Deathstrike. I like
Ready to
obviously.
die.
Yeah, pay to die. I love. I mean, is Hellhammer too obvious? Like, I love Hellhammer.
From you, I don't feel like we hear enough about Hellhammer from you.
Hellhammer's
From us,
never too obvious.
We can't stop talking about the same fucking band.
Oh, interesting. I guess it's because these days I'm you know, I've become more interested in all these sort of textural and harmonic ideas from metal and the more folky stuff or the more scowling Swedish neoclassical stuff. But like Hellhammer is foundational for me. I have a tattered Hellhammer shirt that I wear all the time. I mean, it was one of the bands I heard after I was really into Discharge. I've always been really into the mythos of like bad music that's amazing. Right? Like the Stooges is still, maybe push comes to shove, my favorite band, and everyone thought they were terrible.
Don't they have a split with the band called the Groundhogs?
Wait, do they?
I think they might.
That's a weird joke, right?
No, that's not a joke. I think they actually do.
Iggy Pop and the Stooges?
Yes.
Interesting. But like, so Hellhammer, okay, yeah, true metal. I don't know, is this shit like Iron Maiden count, or is that not underground enough? Like, for more underground, like, I really have been, something through the show, I've gotten into Jagpanzer and Manila Road. So, I love both of those. You know,
We're
like...
more Jag Panzer heads here on the show. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Fred likes Manila Road better. I don't know.
I
Fred likes
appreciate
Battery.
them more than I need to listen to them.
Other shit, like, okay, it's one of those things where like you ask me and I'm like, what? I can't like,
Yeah.
you know, how do I come up with? But I mean, I love Creator.
Yes.
Creator. The first two Creator records are awesome and are sort of like an informing. That kind of vibe is just like something to aspire to, basically.
Yeah,
like
the first two.
I
creators
still
are,
think Pleasure
really
to Kill is
impressive.
basically proto-war metal.
No, it is. It totally is. That's right. I completely agree.
Yeah, those riffs.
People think I'm crazy when I say that, but I stand by it.
I think some of the coolest shit in the 90s is people sort of drawing on Teutonic thrash in ways that seemed old hat or boring to their contemporaries. Like, out of Teutonic thrash, you get like war metal and you get Swedish Black Death. Like, I mean, also a band that I've got into more since we've done the show, because the death metal guy's a big fan, is Dark Angel.
Oh yeah.
Back in the day, I never listened to Dark Angel because I was like really excited getting into the whole punk metal thing, and I just really liked Rain and Blood. I've barely ever listened to any other Slayer. I just listened to Rain and Blood a ton. But like, obviously a record like that just becomes part of your DNA, and then you don't care about it, right? And I didn't have room in my head for two Rain and Bloods, because to me, before I really learned to think more about songwriting, it was just like, well, I can see that this is good, but it's basically the same thing. Now that I hear it, it's a completely different band, and you bet I have room for two records that sound like that. And at this point, Dark Angel speaks to me way more.
That's really funny. I remember way back. This might have been 2007, I think, during the LimeWire days. I had a friend who downloaded a bunch of Slayer stuff, and one of the Slayer songs was Darkness Descends, but it was like labeled as a Slayer song. And he told me, he goes, man, he's like, who the fuck is this? He's like, it's not Slayer, it was Darkness Descends. He's like, this is fucking amazing.
The scream that he does when he yells Darkness Descends, or Darkness Descends, I could see that being kind of like Tomareya. It could pass as
I mean, I think they seem pretty damn influenced by Slayer, I'll say. But
Yeah,
like,
sure.
but like it, then it came out in the same year as fucking nuts. The thing is, it's like equally good, and it does. If you described that Darkness Descends in the abstract to somebody who'd never heard it, you would be describing the same record as Rain and Blood, right? It's like metal, but like it's really, really fast, and it's like really influenced by hardcore punk, and it has this like gritty, noisy tone, and there's this like incredible technical proficiency, but it's sort of unhinged and raw, and it sounds like it's like satanic and bleak. But when you listen to the record, it's like that entire idea just completely different. And all I can say is like, on the one hand, you have even more of the like proto beatdown hardcore, just like the just relentless mid-tempo bashing. And on the other hand, you have Slayer, despite people just nutting over the first and last songs on Rain and Blood, that is not a riffs record. Or rather, it's entirely based around really simple kill riffs. Like, it's like a Discharge album. It's all about these like grinding 4-chord riffs that they play throughout the middle of the record. Dark Angel has something more like the riffing sensibility you get in 90s black metal, where you have these very long riffs that sort of develop and do weird things in the middle and have all this motion around the fretboard and weird, eerie harmonies. Sometimes it sounds kind of like epic. It's, I don't know, man, that one, it's very cool.
Might be a hot take, but I would take Darkness Ascends over any Slayer album any day of the week.
I think I would too. You know, or maybe not Show No Mercy, because I love Show No Mercy.
I love Show No Mercy too, but you know what? The fact is, I go back to Darkness Ascends way more than I go back to Show No Mercy.
Oh man.
I think at this point in my life, I have much more reason to listen to Darkness Descends. And also, although I like the sort of sterile coldness of Rain and Blood, Darkness Descends has a cooler guitar tone, man. It's like just like fuzzy and crunchy and, you know, sort of. It's way more
exciting
to listen to. It's way more exciting to listen to. Yeah, it is a perfect guitar tone. That's right. You know who I imagine took a lot from that is Ares Kingdom. Like, Ares Kingdom is another band. Like, Return to Dust has a perfect guitar tone. And I feel like that there's some commonality there.
All right, Paul. Trivia time?
Trivia time.
All right. Well, we let you guys know. This is a first here. We've never done this on the show. But we have the Black Metal Guy versus Black Death Horizon / Fred. And we came up with a little trivia contest. And the winner gets to call the other guy a poser. And that's how it goes.
Shit.
Oh, I was going to do that anyways.
We were going to... I was thinking, we and Paul were talking before you guys even got on the show. We're like, what's the prize? And then it kind of came to me. The other guy calls the other guy a poser. Okay. So these aren't, like I told both of you guys, these aren't questions that anybody should know. These are just questions that me and Paul these are things that me and Paul just happen to know.
Yeah, we're not asking how many times Euronymous got stabbed.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah.
That was 37, I think, wasn't it?
I thought it was 23.
I thought it was also 23.
Well, you guys are all posers.
I didn't count.
F you.
I never said I'm not a poser.
Paul, you keeping score here? We'll keep score.
All right. Fred.
There's no buzzer, and we're on the internet, but we're going to have to just go with the honor system. So you guys don't look anything up. All right, question one. Or go ahead, Paul.
I was gonna say, if neither of you guys know it, then that's a point for the BBR.
Yeah, that's a point for us. Yeah.
Wait. I'm part of the BBR cast. Wouldn't that be a point for me? Then?
That's a point for Galicia.
Damn it! We never felt so excluded.
Oh, Fred, come on.
Black metal spot isolation.
You just gotta have him in Galicia.
Fred, fly down here and join us for a month.
I'll do guest vocals.
Yeah, guest vocals.
You can do that. Was that it?
Right.
Yeah, that was it.
You did a cradle
Just sample that for the next record.
All right, Paul, you ready?
Yeah.
All right, guys, you ready?
Right as I'm gonna guess.
All right, question one. 3 members of the Finnish band Festerday, they went on to play in a symphonic black metal band. Who be that?
And Oceans, isn't it?
Oh, that's a point for Fred.
That was brutal, man.
Daniel, should we go 1 and 1?
What do you mean?
You say 1, I say 1.
Well, I have yours written out next to mine.
Oh, okay.
Wait, just to be clear, because I might have been a dick and not realized it. Is this anyone chiming in at any time, or are you asking?
Yeah,
is
anytime.
anyone
No
chiming in
buzzer.
at any time?
No buzzer, yeah.
Oh, I had a buzzer.
Black Metal Guy, did you know that one?
I had no fucking idea. I mean, I barely
Okay.
know And Oceans, but yeah.
Okay. All right. The pre-Dragon Force black metal band. Who is it?
Oh God. I can tell you how the album cover looks, but I could not tell you the name of the band.
That'll be
If you
close.
get close enough, you're gonna get a point.
Album cover has a naked chick riding a goat with oversized horns and shit
Is
on
it-
fire.
It's not demoniac, is it?
I think
That's a
you're
point for Fred.
correct.
That's a point for
You're
Fred.
correct. Yeah. Oh God, I just helped them out.
They
by
were
describing the
on
cover.
Osmos, weren't they?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah, I remember that now. I
All right.
forgot that was them until this moment.
Okay. Question 3. Edmonton band features members of AMSG, Lust, and Rights of the Degringolade.
Axis of Advance, Edmonton, MSG, Lust. It's not Degringolade.
It's not Weapon, is it?
It's not Weapon. No.
I mean, is it? I mean, surely it can't be Sacramentary. I mean, really, we talk about Axis of Advance and Sacramentary
Nope.
too
It's
much.
not. It's not Sacramentary. It's not them.
None of these. MSG, Lust.
The problem is, I never remember which bands are from fucking Alberta.
The Edmonton scene definitely has its own sound, but there must be levels to this that I do not know.
I'll say a hint is we spoke about them earlier.
That's true. We
Ouroboros?
did.
Oh,
It is. Oh my God!
well,
Another
that
point.
was
Who was that? Black Metal Guy? Or
that was Fred. No, I'm
That was
getting
Fred
wrecked here.
again. Okay.
Yeah, but that's just because you said that. I just remember that they're Canadian. I just know they're Canadian, and we talked
All right.
about it.
Paul
earlier.
wrote this one. It's an interesting way to phrase this, but DSBM vocalist that was true to his word. Is it
Back from
Silencer?
Malbury?
Is it? Oh, another point for Fred.
God, that was fast. What was the band?
Malbury.
band
It was a
Malvery.
multiple choice. It was Silencer, Malvery, Nostalgia, and Make a Change, Kill
It
Yourself.
didn't even get to finish the multiple part.
No, well,
Yeah.
the guy committed suicide like 2 months after recording the album.
Never even heard
God.
of Malvery.
It's like
Malvery.
Bethlehem,
They-
but more fucked.
Yeah, it's like Bethlehem mixed with Abruptum.
Okay. This is my question. Name one song by White Wolf's Commando.
Oh God.
Yeah, I
got-
knew this
I
would
got
be a
nothing.
good one.
I could think about this for weeks and I still wouldn't get anything. So
Finnish Aryan Glory, FAG.
Hey, point for Black Metal Guy.
There you go.
He got it. Okay. Number 6. Norse core / nuclear metal band. Same dude from Godkiller. What's the band called?
Nuclear metal.
God Killer.
Yeah, Norse core nuclear metal. Godkiller.
I better not hear
What's
any
his other band
keyboards.
called?
God Killer from like Luxembourg or some shit.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
I remember
Life.
he was involved in some of the Crystal Knocked recordings, but I don't remember what his other bands were.
Hint,
Black Metal Guy.
think of a number. And, was that an element?
A chemical.
Yeah, chemical.
Think of a chemical. Think of a number.
Yeah, I remember the one you're talking about, but I'm not going to remember the name.
Is that a point for Galicia?
Is it
I think that's the point
356?
for Galicia. Yeah.
It's the
No,
number
it's not
356.
No.
No,
Damn
no,
it.
it is not. It is uranium 235 was the answer.
Ah.
Okay. Question 7. Black metal band that their main lyrical theme is about Yorkshire and a little bit.
Oh,
of
white metal.
Dude, yeah, white metal. There you go,
Thank you.
man.
There's two.
There you go. Okay, number 8. Verathron's drum machine. What's his name?
Wolfen. Okay, that's not fair though. I just wrote out an interview for Verathron, so
Yeah, I know, but that's not the name.
Wolfen?
No.
Yeah, it
The
is.
drum machine.
Verathron used the name Wolfen for the drum machine.
Verathron use Black Metal Guy, no?
I have no idea.
Werewolf.
I didn't even know Verathron used a drum machine.
No.
Should we give that? Do we give that to Fred? The answer is werewolf.
It's,
No. It's Wolfen. Look it up.
Is it Wolfen? Paul gave me the wrong answer.
Did I?
It's like right there, smack front and center on
Oh,
the
yep,
Verathron
you're right.
Talon
That-
page.
Well, Fred's right.
That's
Paul
Fred.
got the okay. Number one, Paul got the answer wrong, and Fred got it right. So that's like a
Damn,
I
think that
I get
means
2 points for
Galicia
that.
loses one. No, Galicia
We
loses
lose one.
one. and
Yeah,
Fred
there
gets
you
we
go.
lose.
Let me
Okay.
take that 0 out.
Okay, that was not a fair question though, because I just wrote an entire interview for Verathron over the weekend, so
Oh,
obviously
cool.
I'm like knee deep into them right now.
Wait, where do your interviews come out?
Metal
Like
Legion
Peru or
magazine.
something.
Oh, okay, cool.
This one, assuming they answer, which is always a concern over email interviews, I should have Mortuary Drape and Verathron in this issue.
Wait, is there a link on your Instagram, or do you keep these ventures separate?
There isn't, because I just keep that account very bare bones. But I
Fair
do post
enough,
the mags. I do post the magazines when they come out though. So
Oh, okay. I'll keep an eye on it. Yeah, that would be very cool.
Well,
They're
obviously, I didn't know
probably
that either.
those two are the highest. Actually, no. I know I'll never top the Bathory interview. Let's face it, but they're right up there. It's exciting.
You did a Bathory interview?
2000, right after Nordland came out. Nordland 2. It was like less than a year before he. No, actually, no, just over a year before he died.
Damn, man.
That was
You know,
a phone
when Fred,
interview. It was,
when
it was
Fred
3
told me
hours
that, I
long.
pretty much jizzed too.
Yeah, I'm kind of like emotionally jizzing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I think Fred won. No, just kidding.
Yeah, really.
almost-
Fred's interviewed Bathory. Well, I should just go fucking kill myself. Yeah, it's
You interviewed Alan,
If
though. You're good.
So
And
somewhere
Paul got the answer wrong.
So somewhere on my account, I don't remember when I posted it, but I posted a cassette tape with a hand-drawn album cover. That is the tape of my interview with Bathory that I still have the audio for. The phone call was like 3 hours long. Like we just talked. I was like, what, 19 at the time?
yeah. Whoa.
Yeah, no, we just talked for 3 hours, and I recorded the interview portion of it, and that cassette is the audio of the interview. It's
That is
somewhere
so
on my account.
cool.
I don't remember where I posted it.
I'll look. That is you would have done that in the early 2000s, right?
Yeah, like literally just like a year and a month before he died, something like that.
Jesus,
I don't think it was the last interview he did, but it wasn't far.
Right. That's very special, though. That's really cool. You got your connection back to that. Cool. Yeah. I would say, Bathory, as far as true metal, I mean, obviously Bathory. However, for whatever reason, I've just never listened that much to the classic sort of Bathory punk, satanic punk speed metal records. I really like Bloodfire Death and, Hammerheart and shit. So I don't know if that counts as 80s.
The Return is my favorite, and probably my favorite black metal album.
And
I love repeating this fact over and over again, but
It's not
Dark
black metal,
Thrones. I will fight you. Whatever. You don't even know the name of Verathron's drum machine.
Oh, Paul, you fucking poser!
Yeah, that's my prize. I get to call Paul a poser.
Oh my God, you did. Hey, oh, you feel so good about it too, don't you?
But no, I'll repeat this fact ad nauseum. But the first press of A Blaze in the Northern Sky on vinyl, the inner ring has the Re-Return etched into it. So they wore that influence on their fucking sleeve.
That's cool. I mean, I listened. The Return is certainly cool. I liked it when I heard it, but then, you know how when you're like young and impressionable, reviews at least if you're somebody like us, reviews can influence your opinions too much. I read a Metal Archives review where somebody astutely pointed out that Aquamanthorn is just the theme from Jaws, and I was like, oh God, he's right. It's just like no, and of course, like
it's completely different because it's Bathory. But I remember somehow that ruined the magic for me.
You know what? I kind of get it because on Bloodfire Death, da-na-na-na-na-na. And you know what? I love, like, Immortals Pure Holocaust is one of my favorite albums, but I cannot unhear the Star Wars riff, and it just takes
Did
me
they
out
do a
of it every
Star
single
Wars
time.
riff on Pure Holocaust?
Yeah, the Imperial March on the final track.
Oh wait, that's no. We all know the Imperial March. That was that was the like. I mean, I always thought, like, why haven't people ripped that off in black metal more? So now I know.
It was ripped off in death metal. What was that band called? DVC. They fucking ripped it off.
I feel like if it was one of those things that's so Darth Vader's Church. Yeah,
that's right.
I somehow saw that on Metal. I saw that on Metal Archives recently somehow, but
Point for black metal guy. Nice.
Yeah, how lucky are we get Fred on the show?
yeah,
So lucky.
But the Imperial March is one of those things. Clearly, like, if you're the kind of guy who likes this music, you hear the Imperial March when you're 7, and you're like, "This is the coolest thing ever," and then you sort of autistically hum it on the bus all the time, and people have to tell you to be quiet. I mean, just speaking
That was an
hypothetically.
oddly specific scenario that I feel came from experience.
Just at me, bro.
But no, I almost felt like I had never heard it really ripped off because it was almost too close to home for anyone. They're like, well, I can't do that. That's the one riff that we've all been, like, in a way, everyone is just ripping off the Imperial March forever, right? That's just every black metal riff. But
Dan, what's that black metal Star Wars band? Like
Vonder.
Vonder, yep.
Vonder, that's right.
Well, just that one album. After that, they went like bizarre Elvis rock.
You know what's
imagery. It was
insane?
bizarre. It's
Raph
weird.
was supposed to be here at 9 for practice, and it's almost 9 for us. So, he's gonna have to wait, I think.
Yeah, I already told him to wait, so we're good.
Yeah, he's gonna have to wait. Yeah, so we're barely, we're not even halfway done. Okay, question 9. We're on question 9 here. 2014 split between Greek black metal band Embrace of Thorns and who's the other band?
Navith?
Point for Fred.
all right.
Okay, this is Paul's question 10. This is a guess the lyric question. The song is Woods of Infinity. Summer is not my friend. The lyrics go, sunshine hurting my eyes, makes my skin look like. What does it make his skin look like?
Lilies.
Black metal
I
guy?
have no clue.
Sunlight hurting my eyes makes my skin look like wax.
My skin look like, oh, was the answer.
Point for Felicia.
That's right.
My skin look like, oh, is that really the lyric?
Yeah.
That is really the lyric. Okay. Okay, question 11. This is mine here. Greek drummer Athir Psychoslaughter played drums in Der Stürmer, Legion of Doom, Vampirinacht, Gauntlet Sword, and Dark Thule. What album did he only do vocals on in 1998?
Jesus.
Wouldn't be the Blood Calls for War, is it?
No.
No.
I don't know the Greek stuff. Don't know the Greek stuff well.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I can repeat the question. Greek drummer Athir Psychoslaughter played drums in Der Stürmer, Legion of Doom, Vampirinacht, Gauntlet Sword, and Dark Thule. What album and / band did he only do vocals for in 1998?
I'm gonna smack myself when I hear the answer, but it's not coming to me.
Okay, the answer is Nar Matron, Up from the Ashes.
Oh.
Point for
wouldn't have gotten
Galicia.
But he's not like a main member of Narmadaron, is he?
Nope, he was the vocalist on the first album. That was it.
Got it. Okay, well,
Okay,
Yeah.
that. You know, that's a band I've never really gotten into, Narmadaron.
that first album that I mentioned, terrific, fucking one of the best.
Yeah, I've
the
heard it's
Greek
good,
scene.
but I've never really checked them out too much.
Just
Oh,
remember,
yeah,
I
the
saw
first album.
I saw a picture of the guy in a fanny pack.
That's pretty good.
But I guess if you live in Greece, you basically have to do that to protect yourself from the other Greeks.
Okay, Paul's question, not one I'm really familiar with, but Australian band that plays on a twin neck guitar.
Cool.
Portal.
Oh no, it's not.
I'm joking.
What are they called?
Between neck to guitar.
Oh my god, I can picture the album cover right now. Fuck me. Oh, Dark Lord, isn't it?
Oh,
Oh shit! A point for Fred.
Fred is
Okay.
fucking wreck. This is the sort of stuff I just don't know. So
It's just the stuff that me and Paul happen to know, but Fred he just happens to be killing it. Okay, question 12. Question 13 actually. Permafrost, Nacht de Blut, and Campo de Mayo are a part of what black metal circle?
It's the Argentinian one, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So they're an elite circle, is it?
Oh, another point for Fred.
damn.
damn.
Okay, question 14. How many members in Hakuja from Japan?
One.
Oh,
Right! A point for the black metal guy.
I would
Okay.
not have gotten that.
Finally, an obscure band I know.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, number 15. Band sued for their Hare Krishna album art.
Oh, Impale Nazarene.
Yep!
oh.
Really, that's hilarious. I was gonna say
Yeah.
Spiritual Longinus.
Okay.
No, it
I
was the
don't-
first edition of Ego Karma.
I don't think
makes
you guys
sense.
are-
The mechanical
be-
Shiva, whatever.
Oh my god, I'm gonna be so surprised if you guys get this one. This is mine. Okay, Latvian record label Engwar 1998 put out a compilation called Chronicles of Elven Witchcraft. Name one band off of it.
Oh. Latvian.
Loits.
Voice?
No? Okay. Loits. It's a band from Estonia or something.
Well,
I don't know if they. I don't know if they
well,
even existed at at the time.
I'm gonna
Well,
say
the-
I'm gonna say Nahash, but I'm pretty sure they're Lithuanian, so it's not gonna work out.
No, well, the thing about this this compilation is it's basically no Latvian bands.
No
It's a
regional.
Latvian no, it's just a label that put out a compilation. And some of the bands on here are pretty well known.
So what is it? Something of elven sorcery.
It's called Chronicles of Elven Witchcraft.
that's a-
in
I'm gonna go
1998.
with the Italian band Evil, EVOL. It's a total stab in the dark, but why the hell not?
I'm afraid not. The answers
Yeah,
were
I-
Autumno, Heap of Callison, Hypnos, Zaveros, Valar, Wokna, Enad, Raventhrone, Maze of Cacodemons, Horna,
Oh, Raventhrone was on there? That was a great
Horna.
band.
Cernos, Heresik, Slavisha, Azagal, Rakoth, Skyforger, Svartalheim, Orospu, Kaladre, Across the Scarlet Moat, and Trollterm.
Wow.
Okay. All right, next question.
Point for Galicia.
Yep.
Okay. Next question. Stefan from Obscura had a dissection / necrophobic worship band. What's that band called?
Oh.
I don't know the guys from Obscura, so I'm not gonna get this.
Wait. This. Give me I might be able to figure this out.
Point for black metal guy. No, just kidding.
No. Oh God, mercy.
It
yeah,
will
I'm
be
playing with
eventually.
The handicap. Yeah. Dissection. Fuck. God, there's been.
He's a cooking of something.
There's been so little of that stuff since then until recently that I really have no. There's almost nothing that sounded like for that for years, so I really have no clue.
Fred, no?
You know what? Whatever the answer is, I've probably heard of them, but I don't know the guys.
That's not an answer.
Okay. Well, the answer was Thulkandra.
Really?
Oh, I always thought of Thulkandra just being like Melodeath, but I guess that makes sense.
All right, next one is first black metal band from Israel.
Salem.
I'm gonna
Did Fred say
say
it?
Salem.
Malakesh.
Fred said it.
It was Salem.
It was Salem.
You go back to what, 84?
85 with their band Axe Witch.
We got another one. Okay, number 14. The Soul Hammer album. Hammer from Finland. What year is...
Sorry, it cut out for me. What year? What?
Hammer from Finland. What year does their one album come out?
I want to say 2014.
Black metal guy? You gotta know
Hammer
what
from
Hammer is.
Finland.
Hammer from Finland. NSBM.
I don't listen to NSBM.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, neither
Yeah,
do
no,
we.
no. Yeah, no, yeah, no.
That was more recent than that, wasn't it?
I like that answer. I don't listen to NSBM.
Point for
No.
Black Metal Guy.
Yeah.
Some brown
Well,
nose
it-
points.
Okay, well, it was 2008. I thought that was a popular album, no? Was it just me?
No, when it comes to Hammer, I only really remember that split they had with Vorder and Volcura. But
Border is cool.
yeah, Vorder's awesome.
All right.
Volcura was really cool too. But that
We're on the
didn't
last
perform.
question here.
Okay.
And you guys are both, I think you guys both know this, so you're going to have to be very quick about it. Permanently damaged vocal cords.
Danny Phil.
The metalcore band Catharsis.
No?
Could
Keep
be
going,
true,
guys.
but we gotta keep it black metal.
Permanently damaged vocal cords.
Sounded like
Oh
an
wait,
eagle.
isn't that Silencer or something?
No, it's not. No, it's not silent.
They
I mean,
sounded,
if he didn't permanently damage the vocals, I'd be shocked. But
sounded like a screeching eagle.
I
Sounded like
not
a
Cradle.
screeching-
It's not Cradle of Filth because.
Oh wait,
he-
Pest. Pest from Gorgoroth.
No, it's not Pest.
Not Hat either.
Screeching
Is it
Eagle
more-
vocals are the best.
You guys would be like on this one.
You
Wait,
spoke,
there
you
was
spoke
a-
about them on the last Terminus episode.
Yeah, there was a Terminus episode about it. That's a hint.
Wait, is it Kyvum?
Nope. No, it is
Because
not.
rumor has it they had to change vocalists, but
No. That's the guy.
They,
from
they
fucking
did
Old
they
Lady
did change
Drivers.
vocalist, but it's not because of that.
Really? Okay, I'm gonna give you another hint. Norwegian band. Permanently damaged vocal cords.
obtained and not obtained. No, Pest was
Nope.
the guy in Obtained and Enslaved,
Nope.
so it's not
Nope.
that.
Nope.
From
That doesn't
94.
help. Nope.
This is
I really thought you guys would be both on this. Did you think so?
Oh
too?
no, Flirty.
Oh,
He got it!
that guy damaged his vocal cords.
Yes, permanently.
That first TPN album, yeah, that ruined him pretty
yeah,
good.
listen
Yes,
to
he
I
that.
remember that now. Wow, that took
Okay.
a while.
And then we have a bonus question. This one doesn't really make any sense, and it's not. I'll just say this: it doesn't make any sense, and it's not quite true.
I'll question it.
Okay, go
So-
ahead. Bonus question.
Okay. Where is Venom from? Not geographically, but mythically.
Spiritually, where is Venom from?
Oh, spiritually.
This is
Hell.
this is some. Yes, yes,
Thank
that
you.
is the answer.
That's
What was the
that's,
answer? I didn't
that's
hear
2 points right there.
I didn't even hear the answer. What was it?
Hell.
Hell.
Oh,
That's the answer comes from a joke that Paul made a long time ago while we were at a bonfire. Somebody put on Venom, and we're talking about Venom. We go, "Oh yeah, they're from England." Paul goes, "I thought they were from hell." So there you go.
I was thinking like, where did they get the name Venom from? Is it Conan? I don't remember.
No, that's a really good black metal dad joke.
Yeah.
From hell.
All right. So sadly, the winner is Galicia. No, I'm just kidding. It's Fred with 11 points.
Fred, do what you gotta
Hooray.
do.
Black Metal Guy and Galicia tied at 5.
I'm all right. Well,
Do it.
you are a poser, Paul.
Do your
That
worst.
wasn't the
Come
game.
on. Do your worst.
Black metal guy, more like poser guy.
That was my
No,
dying scream.
We'll just switch monikers now. You can be Fred. I'll be Black Metal.
I'll be Fred.
Well, when you introduce Terminus, you can go, I am Black Death Horizon.
No, aka Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, aka Fred. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tell them I got fucking.
AKA Fred.
I'm gonna have to tell them I got absolutely reamed.
Oh wait, hey Paul, what was the actual score?
Yeah,
I'd like to know.
Fred
got a lot of them.
Fred with 11, Black Metal guy with 5, and us with 5. Could have been 6, but I got our point redacted.
I really like that Black Metal guy got the Venom question.
Yeah. So I
That
gave
was
him I
impressive. That
gave
was
him
impressive.
I gave him 2 for that. So
Thanks, that's merciful. I mean, it's yeah, it really, there's a certain kind of knowing about music that like just I'm not very good at. It's like I spend, yeah, I don't know, like I haven't like, I think like zine stuff or yeah, I guess I've had one foot in, I've like read enough zines or magazines or whatever to sort of like know the general lore and things like that, right? I have a like somehow I picked up a pretty good amount of Norwegian black metal lore or whatever, but I've never done any of that stuff in a systematic way. And I've also never like, I would like to collect more records, but I've almost never had my shit together or haven't had, like, I've only been able to collect records off and on. And so when I've had, do I have a hard copy set up in my house? Have I been too lazy to set up my hard copy stuff? Do I have the disposable income? Blah, blah, blah. And so there's a kind of not know-how you get from seriously collecting records that I think I also just lack.
Well, I think me and Paul are on the same page because we're not huge collectors. Fred is a huge collector. We aren't. I mean, we kind of grew up in the internet age, and that's kind of where we discovered metal and kind of grew up on. And I felt like the questions were kind of fair just because, again, any of those aren't things you should know. Those are just things that we know.
Oh no, I didn't think it was unfair at all. I'm just saying, like, it's remarkable how little of that I knew. It's maybe
I was actually
I'm
surprised
slightly...
that some of you guys knew some of these fucking things that I was talking about. I didn't think you guys would get the fucking Elven Ring Chronicles or whatever. That was a big out there one, but
It's but yeah, no, I mean, I got pretty wrecked there. So congratulations.
that's
to
dude.
Fred.
Don't feel bad about it. It's all right.
Yeah,
you're still the black metal guy to me.
yeah.
It's it's good. You know what it is? It's good content.
Yeah, the trivia will return.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Wait, hang on. Well, I have one more
What's that?
question.
Go ahead.
After our conversation about Graveland, is Immortal Pride your favorite album now?
It's not my favorite album now, but I agree that it's really good. I agree that I was wrong about it. Like,
You still liked it. You weren't wrong. You still liked it.
No, but when we first talked about it, I said, "Oh man, Immortal Pride. That's like, I don't like that one," or like that one. I was probably more emphatic. I was like, "That one kind of sucks," and you were like, "Oh man, that's my favorite," and I was like, "Well, now I have to go listen to Immortal Pride," and it's one of those things where probably I just listened to it at the wrong time and didn't pay enough attention or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
In some sense, it sounds a lot like Memory and Destiny, but it's actually completely different in a lot of ways. And the thing I mean, I don't think I even realized there was this amazing one record where you have Capricornus playing on what's essentially later Bathorian Darken era Graveland. Like that's
Yeah,
yeah.
it's like a bit of a weird transition album. It's got a bit of both in it, but it's it's weird. I can't believe the whole thing is basically two
It's
songs.
I think it's his most narrative record ever. Like it really has
Yeah.
has like a metal opera quality to it. The
Yeah,
only other
that's a
thing
really
that's
good way of
like
putting it.
yeah, well, the only, his last record was like pretty weird even for me, right? We reviewed it. I had been like so stoked, and then we reviewed it for Terminus, and I was like, well, death metal guy, I'd love to tell you that this like all makes sense to me, but it's kind of weird to me too. And now, once you hear Immortal Pride, you're like, oh, he's already done this, and now he's doing the rock opera thing again, but with
Raph's
like,
here.
what?
He's not coming. Let's just finish the show then. Okay. How come
All
Raph
right.
isn't coming, I wonder? All right, well, we can do the show without any impeding forces. Our other guitar player is not showing up for whatever reason.
Probably because we're doing the show.
No, he's
Yeah,
he's feeling a little sick, so we're just gonna let him rest up for tomorrow's recording.
Oh my god. Are we going to have to put this recording off again
No,
for
no,
another
no.
few weeks?
No, he said he just wants to rest up right now. So
Whatever, dude. He knows the songs cuz okay, for full disclosure, we're supposed to record tomorrow. We were going to practice tonight and record tomorrow. I'm hoping that Raph is cool to record tomorrow.
he'll be good.
But we're here, but I only have one beer. Oh my god. That's okay. We can get through it. All right. So
Now we're gonna
You
talk
got-
about something we know.
Before we
Yeah.
talk about that, can I go urinate?
do what you
We'll
gotta
allow
do.
it.
All right, thank you.
All right.
BRB.
Well, since we're taking a break, I'm gonna go get some food. I'll be right back.
Dan's running to the fucking liquor store real quick. Got one around the corner. All right,
You know
we're back from the short liquor run and a long piss.
Okay,
And
so
I got
we
a
haven't
Rice
started
Rice
on this
Krispie
album
Square. It's a
yet.
pretty good break.
Nice.
All
nice.
right, Rice Krispie. That's usually my thing, Fred, the Rice Krispie Square.
You've influenced me. What can I say?
Yeah, so we don't have to practice, so I can just get shitty here on the podcast. You get to hear it.
There you go.
Nice, nice.
Hey, that was a fun trivia contest.
That was fun.
Yeah, we'll bring it back.
Yeah, you should do it for
like
every episode.
Every episode, I don't know that much.
Yeah, I don't know that much.
No,
I'm
next
fucking
one will be
dum-dum.
next one will be for Paul and Brutal Death Metal.
I'll lose.
Here, you want to hear some brutal death metal?
But I said just Paul. You're not playing against anyone else.
No, next time you could do Paul against Death Metal Shitposting about brutal death metal.
Oh, there you go.
Ooh.
Yeah, but that guy's like 20. Paul's like 27.
Doesn't matter.
He's had 7 more years to.
Yeah, I'm in the club.
The guy, I mean, dude, Death Metal Shitposting knows his stuff. He's put me on to stuff that, like, I had never heard of.
Yeah, he's great.
He is good. He's a cool guy. I like that guy.
He
I can
messaged
see.
me today. I don't remember why. Why
He
did-
shills
why
the
did
show.
Oh right, because I posted the second Varathorn album today. That's why. He's like 10 out of 10 album. I'm like, you're not wrong.
So,
bitch.
what are we here for today, black metal guy? What'd you bring
Black
on to
metal
us?
guy. Break it down.
Well, we are here for a record by Fall of the Leaf. This is Evanescent, Everfading. And this is something that I just found. I figured I'd do it because there's no, like, it's not going to be on Terminus in any way anytime soon. And it's like, it's marginal and weird, and I've been listening to it a lot, and I think it probably touches on things we all like. I found this just because it popped up on YouTube and maybe sounded vaguely familiar. It's a 1998 record, and it's just been reissued by a label called Ardua Music, CD and digital. And I really just found it from the Ardua Music post or YouTube, YouTube full album upload. And I guess really the reason I clicked on it was the beautiful cover. I've always thought that like
Skies.
well, yes. Well, I've always thought that skies. We can end it right there. But like, I've always thought that like like kind of abstract nature photography, is really underused for covers. And people are like, if you really are cued into nature and you see a higher reality in it or whatever, you don't just have to look at that, cool painting of the wild hunt everyone uses, right? You can
Yeah.
you can see it in the world around you, and it can be here and now. And so these guys just took this awesome photograph of sun breaking out behind scowling clouds on some bleak Finnish midwinter day. And zoomed in on it, so there's no other context. You just get the shapes and the light. It's really cool. I was like,
Kind of reminds me of Skydancer.
It
that makes
reminds
a
me
lot
of
of
the
sense.
hunt.
Yes, the hunt. Yes. Yes,
Das
the
Hunt.
Das Hunt would be a sick name for a band. Fake German is one of the hardest things ever. So Skydancer, yes, that's the Dark Tranquility record, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think these guys were probably very influenced by Dark Tranquility, but it's very, and in a way, although they are Finnish, they sound Swedish. That's one thing we could talk about. But
Yeah, they do.
okay, yeah, I'm glad you agree. So the story of this record, I think, as I've just, I guess, made it up, is essentially that like this record should be huge right now. It's from '98, and yet it completely anticipates things that everyone loves now. Why haven't we heard of it? Well, it's because if you click on their metal archives, it's melodic death folk metal is the genre for their earlier stuff, and then atmospheric gothic metal later.
That's the nail in the
And-
coffin right there.
Well,
Yeah,
that's for sure.
That's
It-
actually the stuff I heard first. I heard their 2005 album first.
And I'll stop you there, just while we're on the metal archives. All right, in the death metal yearbook, who's winning in the best dress? Fall the Leaf or Akerkaki?
Akerkaki.
Eckercocky, like I said, Paul, they look like guys who are going to sell you insurance.
Yeah, they're corporate.
And Full of the Leaf looks like they're going to a school dance. Is what it is.
That's yeah. It's
Yeah, it's prom for them.
Yeah, corporate and prom.
Akerkaki are gonna sell you sex insurance.
Sex insurance.
Yeah. It's
Syphilis, we got you covered.
Yes, we cover sodomy.
Oh,
But yeah, so they have this, yes, they have this kind of whimsical Renaissance fair gothic kind of, you know what it is? It's like a Ren Fair take on 19th century clothing in their band portrait. And they get pigeonholed as sort of Melodeath, but the first record really doesn't sound like Melodeath at all, at least not as we conceive of it now. It sounds like a sort of sprightly and lyrical pagan black metal album that has a kind of a deep intuitive sense of folk melody and medieval melody behind it. It's highly it's like organized around triple time primarily. It has sort of cascading tandem guitar parts, and also a thing that really distinguishes it from any melodic death metal at the time is that one of the other central features is this kind of glistening gossamer arpeggio stuff. And you can tell they're getting that basically from Fields of the Nephilim, from 80s goth rock. So the only other 90s
Okay.
band I think the only other '90s band that really does that is Forgotten Woods, and they do it in a very different way. So there's this. I feel like they're taking goth rock vocabulary and using it to create these this highly highly textural and uniform continuum of melody in a very sort of in a very cool way that's almost like the sort of endless hypnotic waves of riffing you get in Memory and Destiny, or really any Graveland record or something. But Fall of the Leaf is of course much more polished, and the music has a unique mood too, in that it is it's not really grim or warlike. It's sort of, you can hear there's an extreme intensity to it, and a seriousness, but it's music for living everyday life with one eye on the sky, if that makes sense. Or what we're saying, it's music for the music encompasses feelings like happiness and playfulness and almost a kind of contentment, even though all of that, but not in a sort of trivial or banal way, right? And it really, I'm the kind of guy who likes putting on it, I don't know, put on headphones, go walk around in the woods or whatever, or just go walk around, but you're always looking. You're like, okay, what are the birds today? What's going on in the sky? What are the trees up to? And you check in with these things. Fall of the Leaf really speaks to that. And I think there's something, if you listen to too much grim and frostbitten black metal, you basically live every day of your life as if you're about to go into battle and die, which actually makes it impossible to do most things. And it's socially discouraged to go into battle and die on your street.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, not up there in Canada. Fall of the Leaf has something about it where it has the sense of coming out of a deep sense of history and a insight into the forces moving beneath our world, but carrying that into a everyday existence in like a productive and fruitful way. And I think that's really cool. Like, I'll just throw this on when I'm like, sometimes I guess I'll throw on Graveland when I'm making coffee, but like I can like throw this on when I'm making coffee in the morning, right? And it instead of preparing you to go out and die, it prepares you to go out and walk the dog.
Yeah, like the first stanza of the second song like fits perfectly on what your description is like.
Yeah.
The terminal fate of all realms draw nigh. Past and present aeons come together as swirling shapes of mordant beauty. Fathomless are the extents of thine.
Cool. Yes. Yeah. I haven't even looked at the lyrics, but I love that.
I think there's just like a whole other, thing that we can delve into with just the lyrics alone, beside the music, because this is exactly what, the name represents, the Fall of the Leaf. Like just the passing of time and just nature and just being in it.
I was kind of curious about the name Fall of the Leaf. Is it the fall, like the season fall of the leaf, or is it a falling of a leaf?
I think it was. I thought it was the second.
Falling.
It's the falling of a leaf.
No, I think Fred is making. That's the question you're supposed to ask, because I think the point is it's both, right? And that double meaning is like poetic insight, right? They're reminding you that under the abstraction of fall as a season, you have the concrete image of leaves falling. And also the fall of the sun, right? And also the fall of things into I mean, these words are so entangled with each other, right? But like, also things fall down and die.
The fall of Rome, which we should all be thinking about constantly.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. Yeah, that's true.
It is true. So, well, I like to think about the good times in Rome. That's what I focus on.
Yeah, don't think about the fall. Think about what
Yeah, think about the aqueducts.
the goals.
Yeah.
Yeah, think about them aqueducts.
The good times, not the Ides.
Not the eyes. Oh, no,
Now, is that aqueducts or is that aqueducts?
Aquedikes.
It could be
I
both.
think-
That's the poetic. That's the poem behind it.
Right. The aqua. That's so true. Yes. The wasn't the Aqueducts a '90s animated show?
No, I think you're thinking of Samurai
You're thinking
Pizza
of-
Cats.
You're thinking of reading.
But anyway, so
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry.
Bunsen burned you.
Okay.
So that's my spiel about the record. I mean,
That was a good
It's-
spiel.
well, thanks. You guys helped.
Yeah,
Far more eloquent than anything we
yeah,
ever
that
said on
was
here.
that was
Honestly, it was.
That was-
I don't think we could ever come up with something like that.
That
No,
was-
we
that
just
was-
say it sounds Greek. That's all we ever say. Here.
Yeah, that's what we go. It sounds Greek.
no, that was surreal. I was on an episode of Terminus right there.
Well, thanks. It's I mean, yeah. Well, thanks. It was the. Yeah, so that's the basic spirit of the record. I'm glad it makes sense to you guys. And now I'm gonna have to go read more of the lyrics. I also got to say I love this moment where at the end of that line, "Fathomless are the extents of thine."
Yeah.
One of the heaviest things is English, and like that's the way that doesn't make grammatical sense is sick.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Fathomless are the extents of that. Like if I end up writing lyrics again, I want to try to write like that.
That's one of the reasons why Finnish metal bands are my favorite.
Yeah, and the Slavs are really good at that too. Like Blazeworth Hall turned that into an art, right? English as like a method. The demonized forests. What are you talking about?
Well, I was gonna say before we microscope into this record, let's get into the first sample that you wanted for us to listen to.
Which one we got?
Yeah, so this is, I want to listen to, I feel like the first two tracks on this record are good and like, I mean, they're great because they're of a piece with the rest of the album. But the thing that, and if you're like a music history person like us, you're going to hear them and be like, wow, this is fascinating. I've never really heard anything like this. But I feel like the record really takes off and you hear its unique sort of dancing energy when you get to number 3, The Garden by the Shoreless Sea.
Okay, we'll be.
It's basically a Dark Tranquility song title. That's from the first album.
Oh, wait, it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
Nightfall
at the Shore of Time. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back from listening to the third track from the Fall to Leaf album.
That sucked.
Yeah, did you actually dislike it, Fred?
No, I liked it just fine.
No, that's a Fred thing. He just
The
says
first song he says it sucked. The second song he says it ruled, and I don't think there's a third.
we don't know yet. We're barely
Yeah,
starting.
we haven't figured that out. I just go, yeah, it was all right. Something in the middle.
Yeah.
No, when I listened to this album, the first thing that smacked me in the face is, other than the really obvious Swedish influence, is I those folkier melodies. I kept thinking of Thy Serpent, especially Force of Witchery. Like,
I don't
it
know
kind of
Thy
brought me
Serpent
back.
well at all.
Oh, Force of Witchery is a fantastic album. Everything they did was pretty good, but that first album's something really magical, and it kind of shares that kind of magical feel to it, where it's still very black metal, but it's not necessarily the grim necro stuff.
Right,
It's
right.
more, rather than being in the darkness, it's kind of out in the sunlight doing its thing.
Yeah, frolicking album.
Yeah.
It's a frolicking album.
Okay, I gotta listen to
I could
that.
frolic to this.
The guy from Seelenvallen was telling me he really liked that Thy Serpent thing. He really liked Thy Serpent, and maybe that record in particular.
Yeah, the first album was really good. I found it not as spastically melodic as this, because this kind of goes all over the place quite a bit. It's a bit more controlled in that sense, but it's the type of riffs and the feel to it really maybe compare these two albums. As they went on, they became a bit more, I guess, Black Death, especially on the third album. And then they came back like a few years ago, and they just kind of sound like what they did before. But long story short, Force of Witchery, definitely worth your time.
Cool. Another sort of playful black metal band from Finland that you guys might know is Vordven.
Oh yeah, I have that.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So Towards the Frozen Stream
Yeah.
is a really unusual album. It doesn't really sound like this because it's more like something like a more black metal take on Summoning, kind of, which
Yeah.
I don't know if that even would have been a direct influence, but it makes sense, right?
No, I could see it, especially with some of the songs that have like a flute or whatever the fuck they used to make that
Yeah, and
sound.
there are some like shameless Tolkienisms where they're just like, the nine gathered the rings of power.
I have the compilation CD that came out that has most of the stuff from everything they did, and because of that,
cool.
I don't know which tracks come from what, but
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a track that's something about oh, what the fuck is that title? Nope, it's
More than
gone.
heroes
Either way,
sing your
one of them has like this flute in it that makes me think of it, and it's
Vordven flutes hard. Yeah, it's all over.
but there's one in particular I'm thinking of, but for the love of me, I can't remember what the hell the song's called. I thought it was like,
yeah.
oh, Harness of Heaven, that's the one.
Vordven is more sort of fantasy Ren Fair music. Fall of the Leaf, I think, comes by some of their folk and medievalisms a little more directly, but it's a little subtler. So speaking of which, let's get back to some of the musical stuff there. I mean, one thing I really like is that sort of embellishing part where they're doing da, 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 and underneath it you've got these arpeggios. I can't really hum it, but you could hear. I think this track has a good sampling of the kinds of Field of the Nephilim-y skittering arpeggios underneath everything. There's a lot more differentiation between what the two guitars are doing than you often get in black metal. And then in other places, you get the thing the Swedes are so good at, which is instead of just subordinating one to be the rhythm guitar or whatever, you get actual like Maiden-esque tandem guitar lines. So there's like the guitars come apart and then they converge in a pretty exciting way. Then Paul, you were talking about the drumming.
Oh yeah. So the drumming on this record, it seems like he has a case of like the bored drummer sort of syndrome, where he doesn't want to play like the same sort of beat. So he'll either go into halftime with it, give it a whole different context, or go into double time of it, make it picking up the pace a little bit more to, give the whole melody a different breath of life.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. It's like the drummer is sort of he's controlling the tempo in interesting ways.
Yeah,
I
because
guess.
the melody has its own sort of beat, but if you double time it or make it slower, it's gonna sound different.
Yeah, yeah. There's very cool ways that No, I definitely hear that. It's like sometimes he'll double pedal, like halftime double pedal in the way that's familiar to us all from everyone's favorite genre, metalcore. Other times he'll the way he picks it up is really cool. It also sounds to me, I don't know if jazzy is the right word, but he plays with a very light touch, which is the whole band plays with a light touch on this record, which is
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very
I mean they're
like restraining a lot, definitely, especially on the like just the musicianship of all the members, because I think not only they have a dedicated keyboardist, but they have like I think the guitarist and the bassist also play keyboards or write some melodies on there. So they're definitely musically inclined for writing this album.
having more hand. I feel like more hands in the pot as far as composition is, or whatever the phrase is. More people, like having more members of the band actively involved in composition, I think is pretty much always a good thing.
Yeah.
Like they don't just, the drummer isn't just their like drum gimp, right? He like a huge part,
Cooks.
right? Yeah, and yeah, you've got other people contributing lines. That's probably one reason the music is so detailed, is that I didn't realize that they had so many dudes involved in the writing process, but that makes sense because that's why like every part of it matters. You don't have you don't have the friend who you've roped in to sullenly come in and play your rhythm guitar parts.
Yeah, everyone actually gives a shit.
Yeah, and you end up with something that is. I think we hammer this on the show, but it's like there is way too much respect for like the autistic solo project ideal. Like the whole reason, like things like Varg or Darken should be the exception, and even Darken was better when he had Capricornus as a counterweight. Like it's you need the collaboration is really important, and you know. We have all these ways now where it's suddenly really easy to be a quote unquote solitary genius recording your stuff, and if it's easy, that's a sign it's you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
Like being a solitary genius isn't supposed to be easy.
Yeah, are these people actually geniuses, or is this kind of just a what would you even call that? Like a what the hell do you call that? Like a pretentious kind of thing.
An exercise and yeah, fart huffing, and an exercise in sort of a vanity kind of thing. Um,
Could be.
like pretentious. Yeah, I mean, it's not to say, right, there are great one-man projects now, right? There are a lot of them, but I feel like they could often be improved by more active participation.
Yeah, just with the
right?
band energy.
Definitely.
Full band energy, exactly. Like it doesn't have to, right? It's in fact better if your best bud is fucking up the parts you wrote.
Yeah.
Like,
Well then you can kind of talk about it, and then you can kind of discuss why you're fucking it up, or if you're in my case, it's like if you're a guitar player and then it's not quite working, then the drummer can kind of fill in the space and do something else.
Yeah, and that's where interstitial riffs are born.
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
Interstitial riffs being like, you're filling in extra space that you didn't realize was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So
right. You're writing a riff where maybe there shouldn't have been one, or maybe you should have cut one down, and then yeah, you have you have something new and something that works actually better.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, you can hear the result of that energy here. And other characteristics like I guess that's main. We talked about a lot for that one. I guess and what you're saying about the drums, Paul, like it's never like metal, like black metal fast.
Yeah.
But it feels so quick. It's moving almost at this sort of stately tempo, but because of what the drummer is doing and because of the lightness in the playing, the moments it accelerates feel like effortless whoosh. It
Yeah.
suddenly feels so fast.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be there, but it's like catching up.
Yeah. Oh, that's so true. Yes, you'll have a moment where suddenly, yes. Yeah, the parts sort of chase each other around.
Yeah, which gives it that more like frolicking like feeling, Because I think like with this record, I was listening to it more as a like mellow death record, which you brought up before. You were saying like, oh, it's kind of pigeonholed into that genre. But listening to it more from like a folk perspective, like I respect all the parts that I didn't really appreciate about this record as much. And
Cool.
those parts were like the repeating melodies. But of course, in folk music, especially, coming back to medieval times, those melodies were worth repeating and coming back to from the verses of the songs, So, like, hearing it from that perspective, like, gives a whole new breath to these songs that I didn't really see, because I'm used to more, like, dark tranquility and, like, In Flames sort of mellow death, where it's just going, pinballing over different riffs and melodies, where, yeah, this is, yeah, like, as you were speaking, giving an overview about the album, I was like, oh, shit, I was wrong.
Whoa.
You think you were wrong, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. Because listening
Yeah,
back
Paul
to this
was-
track,
Paul was ready to shit on this album.
yeah, I was saying like before I came into this, I was like, listening to this, I was like, oh, those melodies are a little bit annoying. They keep coming back to them.
Well, I can see
They
it.
sound like a million butterflies just going nuts.
Yeah, I like that. There's I see what you mean. It definitely doesn't do the thing, right? If you're coming at it from like high mellow death,
Yeah.
then you're gonna have these. I like pinballing. That's a great word. You have this sort of yeah, it's different. It's about rapid variation and contrast and sort of structural sort of a different kind of agility.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is why I would say this is basically a black metal record, at least if we're saying that pagan metal is black metal. I don't know, in the way the term is used these days, right?
I would
Yeah.
say yes.
And it's-
Pagan metal is black metal.
And it's different from like
Yeah.
like choruses and songs are usually in my head, they're like more like chords kind of thing, whereas like this the melody is like the chorus where it keeps coming back to it, in every song in this album.
I like that too. So right, instead of having like a you lay on the dense chords and the vocalist does something cool, right? You have these like refrains.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do a good job of like, because how damn good their ears are, and because every time, often when they repeat something, like it's the drumming, it's all these extra melodies and layers. When they repeat something, it's often a little different, and they use melodies that are really similar to each other throughout, but there's always something new to them. That was something a bit different, which is also, like you're saying, that variation on folk themes.
Yeah.
And maybe it's just because Fred's here, but like honestly, there's something it's kind of like those Graveland, those like Memory and Destiny or
No.
Immortal Pride.
No, that's just Fred. No, just kidding.
Yeah. It's but the Memory and Destiny is a record that's basically all the same riff, and the riff just keeps changing, right? The whole record is basically da 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 da.
But he makes it work.
Oh my God, he does! It's wonderful. I mean, I love that album. It's really hard for me to choose a favorite, but anyway, well, so back to this. I mean, next one. Here's another one with some more of the unless there's anything anyone else has to say.
Oh no, I was gonna
Yeah.
say I have another point of contention, but I think that can be refuted in the next sample.
Okay, we'll go.
I actually had
so-
one more thing to bring up, if I could.
Go.
Sorry. Okay. Well, you guys talked about, or we kind of talked about a little bit of the gothic influence, and what I was thinking of when I heard this was kind of like what a band like Christian Death would do on bass, but they're kind of bringing the bass melodies into the guitar, because there's a lot of things on here that really aren't done by Dark Tranquillity or Fatal Embrace or like a Canarus Quintet or Eucharist, whatever. There's a lot of things that are done by like 80s death rock, brought from the bass and then kind of put to the forefront on the guitar.
Oh, I think I get what you mean.
You
So
know
like
what I mean by that?
I think so. So in the death rock bands, or really in any like of the harder goth bands like Joy Division or whatever, the riff is carried on the bass, and I guess there's also rhythmic spacing in the riffing that you don't get in like black metal trem riffing or in hardcore or whatever. So you mean there's kind of like melodies, spaced out melodies that you might have on a bass that are now being carried by the guitar here?
Yeah, exactly. There's things that those bands would use as melodies on the bass, but they're actually being utilized as riffs in this. And kind of, we were talking a little bit about this because we didn't really get into this band turning into kind of an alternative rock band later on, and which is like what I was introduced to them as. But yeah, if you listen to it, there really are like inflections that kind of belong in alternative rock, something like the band Live or the band Toad the Wet Sprocket or something like that.
Really?
Something that could be on the radio, darker, more gothic versions of alt rock or something.
Well, their next record, August Vernica, that one, I've heard some of the alt rock stuff, but their next one goes somewhat in that direction, but I still really like it, and you can hear a lot of the same guitar stuff, but it does sound more like somebody told them, I think, like, hey guys, you're supposed to be a death metal band, like what the fuck is this? And they were like, we don't know, it hasn't been invented yet. It's called atmospheric black metal. August, but the next one is like more death metal-y, and more gothy, but in the sense of like the 90s sense of like gothic metal and stuff like that. And I think what happened is they realized someone in the band could do a really good Pete Steele impression, and that unfortunately sealed their fate.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
I'm sorry,
I
you
don't
can
really-
use the Pete Steele impression once, but you
Yeah,
can't make the rest of your albums about that.
Well, later on, I mean, we're not getting into these albums too much, but later on, I feel like their vocals sound a little bit more like Pearl Jam-ish or something like Everclear or something. That it really has nothing to do with goth rock. Maybe some of the instruments do, but the vocals seem to have more to do with something like Toad the Wet Sprocket, or more of these like
Yeah, grunge alt rock shit.
sentimental, maybe like Creed or something. It gets into more of that fucking territory.
Interesting.
Despite that description, it's actually very good.
Well, I mean, I guess I have a lot of time for Catatonia, who also are sort of like, in some ways, a very modern goth band, but also
Yeah, but
really
I
good sound.
feel like this band's later stuff is a bit more exciting than the later Catatonia. I'll just say that as you know, I'm mostly a metal guy, but I can appreciate the '90s alt rock.
Okay,
That's
well,
weird. I love Discouraged Ones from Catatonia. and everything that came after just didn't click with me. I don't know what is about that one album that works for me and the rest don't. But
The later Catatonia is like a fucking I don't know if like there's like every year there's like a week when I'm a certain kind of I mean, you know, there's a week when I'm a certain kind of crushingly depressed and decide I'm going to listen to later Catatonia. And it's always this thing where like 1 in every 5 to 10 songs satisfies me on a songwriting level, and then on the rest of the time it's just like the vibe. Like I feel like they have a good live record that collects a lot of the later stuff. Some of it's I think what it is like I consistently like the concept so much I keep coming back to it and it keeps never quite getting there for me, but that's okay.
A lot of the time, a vibe of an album or a vibe of a band, like whether you listen to them a lot or not, you can draw a lot of just like influence for writing things, without totally being immersed in what this band does. You can kind of you can imagine what this band is about and then write your own riffs from that.
That's
You know what I mean?
that's exactly it. It's like yes, and you can sort of reconstruct what it's pointing to, and you're like, yes, this is cool, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
you can reconstruct it to a point where no one would fucking recognize it.
yeah. It's But anyway, all right, let's do this next one.
Yep.
Alrighty.
All right, this one's a little longer, so hold on to your hats. This one is Wings of My Desire Untamed.
All right, we'll be right back. All right, we're back from. Oh, I have the song playing still.
Yeah, me too. And I accidentally went to ebay.com. Whoopsie.
Oh, don't go there. Go to Discogs. All right, we're
Go to
back from
Discogs.
listening to Wings of My Desire Untamed.
That ruled.
Glad you
Yeah, it
liked
was
it.
pretty good.
Fred didn't mean that. He just says that.
Nah, that's closer to how I feel about this album than the first one. So
Well,
There
I
you go.
mentioned A Fatal Embrace, the Shadow Souls album from '97. Are any of you guys familiar with what that is?
No.
Nope.
No. Okay, it's basically like At the Gates, but more kind of more focused and kind of more pop oriented. It still has a lot of the rapid changes, but all the rapid changes seem to make sense. Almost like
it
what's
does
that
feel
band
like they're
with,
more focused on it because there's so much going on. They have to keep focused on it, otherwise it'd lose cohesion.
well, all the melodies seem to just kind of there's no clunky stops. A lot of it just kind of seems to keep going and going and going without any like it could almost not end. So
Well,
like
I wanted to pick your brain about this black metal guy, about folk and pagan sort of black metal, about it being mostly associated with like being barbaric and kind of unhinged in that way, but it seems like Fall the Leaf is the other side of the coin, where they're more like how you said earlier, like stately, and also like folk, and it seems like more of like a Renaissance era of like folk music that they're presenting here.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. It's yeah, it's something you don't get in, I mean, the idea of, I mean, you certainly get, I mean, all black metal is about or all the pagan stuff especially is about carrying that spirit into modernity, but you don't get it's rare to get bands that give it a distinctly modern articulation that you can like feel more immediately in the aesthetics, right? I mean, on the one side, you could get that with certain, very aggressive bands like Spite Extreme Wing or whatever, but to get it in this other way that it's sort of, it's translated forward in time, it's sort of refined and stately. That is very unusual in black metal, and you get it more in neo folk, right? And this record definitely has that, or you get it a lot in bands like Dead Can Dance, right? Who have this sort of sumptuous medievalism, right? But there are these songs that are, but these songs that are written with this deep knowledge of medieval music, collaged with goth and world music and all sorts of stuff. And again in this sort of elegant way, and I think Fall of the Leaf certainly has that. I don't know. I think I just agree with you that this is a very different articulation of the pagan thing in black metal. I don't know if they would have thought of this as a pagan band, right? And they probably didn't think of it as a black metal band.
Yeah,
but-
neither did I.
Yeah. But as far as the sort of, the sense of seasonal rhythms is fundamental to the world of time as cyclical. The sort of,
I was also thinking about that because, like, not only are the melodies like folk, just tainted with the folk, strain, but also coming back to these melodies over and over again. It does give it like that cycle of the seasons, But I don't know. I may be thinking about it a little bit too high-mindedly, but
no, that's great.
No,
I mean,
that's pretty fair actually.
I think that's true. You could say that is a feature. I think on the one level, that's a feature of black metal in general, that the embrace of repetition is stepping outside a notion of time as progressing, right? Time changes and things sort of accumulate and transform, but in this seasonal rhythmic way. But I guess it's especially here, right? Certain bands really emphasize that cyclical aspect of time, and so I think this is a really good.
And you know what else is? So like obviously there's a ton of recurrence and transformation in something like Memory and Destiny that has this, but it's Memory and Destiny is also implacably uniform. Whereas, as you've pointed out about, right, Memory and Destiny, you can hear just eternity constantly manifesting through these changes.
Yeah.
And in Fall of the Leaf, right, as you guys have both pointed out, you've or all pointed out in different ways, you've got this sort of mercurial shifts in the drumming and in other parts of the musicianship that are constantly varying it. So yeah, it's
Yeah, it's like when you see spring come every year, it's a good thing, but the crops don't grow in the same places every year, It comes a little bit different.
it, yes, every right. Oh, it's autumn, right, or it's fall again. Okay, well, yeah, it's the in a way you are exactly at the same place you were last year, but every autumn is different, and it's in part different because the last autumn was the way it was.
Yeah.
Right? All of those changes, that whole history of changes is included in the current thing. Yeah, so that perception of time and nature here, I think, is very pagan. And in a way, it's cool. There's a it's like you were saying, there's a maturity to it in that they don't need to constantly. They can talk about it in terms of just natural forces and patterns, say, when with some of your fantasy imagery, of course, you got to have your weeping goddess and all that, but like,
Boo-hoo, boo-hoo.
yeah, boo-hoo. But there's a track called "My Weeping Goddess" for the listeners, but like, there's some fantasy imagery here, but they're really not leaning on fantasy stuff or even mythology directly. It's all it's all
It's
this
all
sort of
it's
just
all implied in the riffs.
yes, yeah. And in the way the lyrical images work, right? Let the freezing fire return once more. Let the soothing serpent of blazing gold ever on radiate the colors, right?
Yeah, and I think like just the album cover itself like kind of speaks to all that because the sky is ever changing and it brings like the sun is obviously there during spring and summer and it's absent during the winter and fall. So it kind of speaks to all the seasons in that point, and it's kind of in a mystique in the clouds here, so we don't really know where it's at.
Yeah, yes. You sort of got aspects of every season in the cover, you're saying?
But that may be the Elysian speaking.
Wait, Tears of Thy Elysian Goddess. Funnily, the lyrics keep referencing capital T Terminus.
Oh, really?
Yep. For the
Hey,
true
that's
Terminus. Yeah, dude,
Yeah, dude.
fuck. It's how's that for cyclical recurrence?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
wow,
there you-
that's one of those
exactly.
that's a crazy synchronicity. Yeah, for the true terminus is Father Winter, the primal dwelling of Aeon Frost. That shall conquer all that burns. Yeah.
Yeah, Carl Jung is turning over in his grave.
Carl Hungus.
big hungus. He's very well hung. But yeah. So yeah, musically about that, what else? There were some points you guys wanted to make. I think Dan was comparing it to power metal.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to make. Okay, this is gonna sound like this is going back to some of my origins of the stuff I was originally listening to when it comes to, I guess, beginner metal. Let's just say that. So, I feel like a lot of the melodies on here are probably they sound a lot like Encifrum. If you had like a fucking like power metal that thing behind it, it's either Encifrum or like the first Winter Sun album, which was good, which was great actually. I don't know what people think about the first Winter Sun album anymore. I thought it was terrific. I still think it's terrific. And also, something that you guys were talking about on Terminus was Elven King, and another band that I actually mentioned to you personally was an Italian power metal band called Spellblast. They
Spell Blast. Oh
yes
yeah, you
they
told me about them.
yeah,
Yeah.
Spellblast from Italy. They constantly do like the chugga chugga thing, but you have just folk melodies throughout, and
Hmm.
kind of the same lyrical themes with the like dark fantasy or almost poetic kind of interpretable lyrical themes.
Cool. Yeah. Well, Spell Blast is just a sick name for a band, right? That's really good.
Doesn't even matter what genre it is.
That's true, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, they had a song on that album. It was called "In the Name of Odin." I think that tells you all you need to know about the band.
Yeah, BDM release.
Mm. The
I'm thinking of the Horns of Silence album in
the
particular,
Horns of Silence
2007.
are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It tells me
I
that it's a bunch of Italians singing about Odin.
it's dude. This album, it's not just Odin. It feels very elvish. It feels very dwarvish, and I feel
Yeah.
like this album kind of puts you into a little bit of a fantasy realm in the same way.
Yeah, for sure. Fall of the even though there's less fantasy references, it's totally a fantasy realm. Fall of the Leaf sounds super elvish. I mean, this is an elf band.
Well, I think like just like in general, like most people are kind of caught up in the non-fantasy like reality of the day-to-day living, but you know this album sort of brings you out of that with like how you were mentioning during the overview of the band of like witnessing the actual fall of the leaves during fall and other things like that. Kind of looking at the things that are taken for granted.
Yeah. Looking hard at things that are taken granted for sure, and seeing seeing the hidden world in that.
Yeah, that's
For sure.
metal.
Absolutely. Yeah. The cool thing about this record is that with such a light touch, it produces such powerful feelings.
That's
Yeah,
a really good point. It feels really light, but
still heavy.
it still kind of connects somehow with all the fucking melody and all the fucking. I mean, there's enough changes here for you to remember that this is. I don't want to say basic melodic death metal album because it kind of exudes like a little bit of heavy metal and it kind of exudes like a little bit of traditional metal in some sense. Like a lot of the chords that go behind some of these leads, you don't really hear them in anywhere else than power metal, like actual power metal. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, like all
What
the
do you
chugging
guys
and shit.
What do you guys think of? Yeah, because it's not exactly in a Melodeath chug way, right? It's this kind of slightly lighter chugging that's more like percussive.
Yeah,
Or not, or
there's some melodeath moments. There's some slower heavy metal moments. You at least get a good like it all stays in the same realm, but it all stays it all kind of exudes the same feeling.
yes, there's yes, you can bridge it to a lot of different things, but they never. That's that sort of hypnotic homogeneity it has that makes it so
But
black metal-y.
I'll
It's
say this too. Even though this is supposed to be like a melodeath riff,
Mhm.
I really don't hear basically any death metal influence in this at all.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't
There's
really
really
hear any
nothing.
Melodeath.
The only thing that could be considered like melodeath is like those single note things with the harmonics behind it. But to me, I always felt like those things were more acquainted to black metal, like
yeah,
Winterland and uh,
yeah.
Dawn and shit like that.
Yeah, so there we go. So Fred, I'd be interested in all your thoughts on this, but Fred, I'm sure has a take on it. I feel like maybe you've heard this on the show, but I'm obviously a massive fan of Dawn, and the other Swedish Black Death bands. But I kind of feel like Swedish Black Death is a terrible label, and almost Melodeath is a terrible label. And there's one thing which is a uniquely Swedish style of extreme metal from the 90s, and it's a seamless continuum from like your poppiest Melodeath record to like the Soren records. And
I can't think of a good name for it, but maybe just, Swedish aristocratic metal is kind of the vibe. It's, true patrician svensk metal. It there's because it all has once you dig as deep as you guys have into Melodeath, you end up at Black Death and vice versa, right? Like Gates of Ishtar or Canarus Quintet you could call them either thing.
I feel like Gates of Ishtar is probably a perfect combination of both of those things that you were talking about.
That's the point where we just kind of gatekeep it, and we don't let anyone know what it is. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though. I've felt that kind of gray spectrum in Swedish extreme metal that had a lot of melody in it, where it kind of just spans across black and death almost seamlessly. And you can look at bands like, I don't know, At the Gates, Dark Tranquility,
In Flames,
Dissection, even Lord Belial, all of kind of in the same spectrum, and they have their own textures and their own identities, but they all have this like underlying commonality to them that is distinctly Swedish. And I've always wondered that as well. Like when I'm listening to a band like Dissection or Sacramentum or Dawn or whatever, I'm like, I'm not listening to black metal or death metal right now. I don't even know. Is it both? Is it neither? But yeah, I know what you mean. And I've kind of always like thought of it, never really put too much thought into it. It's kind of in the back of my mind while listening to it. But it's weird how that spectrum kind of branches across black and death metal in such a way that it's you ask someone, Dawn, are they black metal? And you can easily find someone who'll tell you absolutely they're black metal, and just as easily find someone and say they're absolutely death metal. No question about it.
Yeah. Nair Solon
It's
is
weird.
much close. Nair Solon is much closer to like the idiom we'd associate with death metal, right? Whereas
Yeah, exactly.
and
Slaughter
it
sounds
sounds
a bit more ambiguous.
Yeah, Slaughter Son sounds like a black metal record, but I think basically it's just that these were terms that people were slapping on something that wasn't like, that just did not neatly fit into those ideas. I feel like part of it, I think like this music has its own prehistory, right? Just like the Norwegian, like the Swedish death, like the Swedeth band's real, like the Sunlight Studio guys or Grave or whatever. They could tell you their prehistory in 80s shit, right? And the Norwegian black metal guys were very emphatic about their own prehistory in 80s shit, right? Like, no, we hate this gay Swedish music. We like, Hellhammer and or the early Bathory or all that.
I'm sure that
I guess they always liked
Swedish
Bathory.
gay Swedish
What?
music.
What?
I'm sure that it's people hating on the gay Swedish Melodeath.
Yeah, they were. So the Norwegians were like consciously picking out this most sort of like the most punkish, wretched 80s extreme metal, and the Swedes seemed to really like. They just like never got the memo that you weren't supposed to talk about liking Creator and Destruction, or that like you weren't like. Obviously, the Norwegians liked those guys and wouldn't knock them, but that wasn't what they were emphasizing. Or that like or that you were supposed to not like power metal, right? I feel like the Swedish guys probably liked a bunch of the most epic, fantastical 80s power metal, or, everyone always talks about Maiden, right? And also probably shit like Yngwie Malmsteen or whatever. The neoclassical stuff, the thing that blew my mind, really Hessian Firm changed my whole perception of this stuff. Nick's concept of, or, maybe their whole concept of dark metal as like death metal technique pointed toward black metal. I had that hunch about Swedish Black Death specifically for a long time, but then I start listening to like Sentenced or whatever, and I'm like, the only thing that sounds like this Sentenced record, which is supposedly death metal, are Nair Solon by Dawn and the Soren records. Like, there's like something going on here. Or like, I finally really listened to The Red in the Sky Is Ours, and I'm like, this is extremely folky. Some of those really, the cool part with the deranged fiddle. It's a and it is, it gives you the black metal feels, even though technically it's completely different. But like those band, like if you look at Dice, I always assumed that the melodic stuff crept into the Swedish stuff from Emperor and whatnot from black metal, but it's in the earliest Dissection stuff is like almost before. It's like before In the Nightside Eclipse. It's simultaneous with the earliest Emperor stuff. The chronology is really weird, and I feel like the more boldly melodic stuff is basically already in Sweden before it shows up in Norway.
And they took that more melodic direction, starting with the necroticism, and kind of ran with it in the different directions of death and black metal.
Okay, that makes sense. So I need to listen to that then, dude. I must confess, Carcass.
Yeah, that was one of the bands you never really listened to,
Really
right?
one of my blind spots. Yeah.
Dude, Carcass is probably one of the most important bands, like in metal in general. If you listen to, okay, so Carcass has the demo in '87, and if you listen to that demo, it basically sounds like all of Swedish death metal. Like that's basically the formula all the way back then. So that kind of puts the fucking puzzle together, I think.
To a degree. I mean, they have bands like Grave and Obscurity that are doing it before them too, right? Like,
Well, to some extent, I mean, you have that, and then I guess Autopsy would probably be a giant influence for them as well.
yeah.
Yeah, but Autopsy never ended up sounding like Melodeath or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So
I
could
mean,
hear
it did at some point, kind of in the fucking on that second album, but not to the extent that the Swedish bands made it sound like. I mean, they kind of did like the doomy melodic death metal sound, but they kind of didn't take it. They didn't really take it past that point.
Well, Sweden had some bands like that, right? Like Eternal Darkness and Moondark, but generally speaking, it was much more sped up than what Autopsy did.
Yeah, a lot of it was just totally sped up, and then that's where you get the Melodeath stuff, where it's or like especially Sacramento, where it's you're basically getting Autopsy's slow stuff, or like the black metal guy. I think you've talked about this before, where it's like you're getting shit like My Dying Bride, but sped up, you know, way more to the point where you get something like Sacramento.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense. So really, I should go back and listen to these Carcass and Autopsy records that I don't know as well.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that would probably make sense of things for me. You know, the thing with Carcass is just like when I was younger, when you're younger and checking out all the canonical bands, I was just the gore stuff I was just not into.
Yeah, I can imagine this being a complete like right turn or left turn from like all of the oh, it looks like the black metal guy left. Let me pause this. Okay, I was saying there's a Carcass is kind of being like a complete like left turn from like the sort of like crust, sort of like punk shit coming out with like Discharge and stuff, right? Like, is that sort of like a adversity that you had towards that, or?
Yeah, somewhat, I guess. I mean, I knew that like Reek of Putrefaction and all that was supposed to be kind of close to the crusty grind stuff I liked, but I think there was something about now that I listen to like a ton of Brutal Death for the show and whatever, and you're just older and whatever, I have way more tolerance for the gore stuff. But when I was younger, I was just like, I don't want to dwell on that. I mean, obviously I like incredibly bloody black metal lyrics, but it's a bit different from like, combing through tumors in someone's gut.
Yeah, being medical about it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's, but now at this point, I think I would love to check those records out. And then, so it was either the early stuff, which was just like, okay, this is like, also there was like all sorts of gore grind that I knew I had zero interest in, right? So you get heard, okay, Carcass is the first gore grind band. Well, I just don't care.
Yeah.
And then you hear that, and what you mostly hear is that, and then they did this record called Heartwork that sucked.
Heartwork actually has some good songs on it.
Doesn't suck.
Yeah, well, see, now I'm prepared for that proposition.
And
As to go
I
and
think
listen to the main song "Heartwork."
and
I don't think you'll be disappointed. It's incredible.
I think that's why they're one of the most important bands because of the genre hopping that they do.
Right,
Yeah, kind of
right. And you're saying
advancing war grind.
necroticism really has it all.
I wouldn't say necroticism has it all. Necroticism honestly is a little bit boring. I really would say listen to the second album, Symphonies of Sickness. I would say that's probably the most important thing that they've done.
Do they start to get some of the melodies on there?
Yeah, they kind of do in a very strange way.
All right.
Honestly, it's so weird. Carcass is one of those bands where it's kind of better to pick and like. It's one of those bands where you want to just grab a few songs from each album. You know what I mean?
Yeah, every
Okay,
album
yeah,
is
for
different.
sure. Because they
Yeah,
kept
so
moving so much.
Yeah, but as far as like full lengths and what to listen to in full, yeah, the second one from '89.
So here's another band that's really important for the Swedes. It would be Morbid Angel, right?
Yeah.
And like
Yes,
we all
yes.
know that Morbid Angel was the one death metal band that the Norwegians gave a pass. Because they were obviously real Satanists and because the music just was obviously super influential to the Norwegians. But like I think with the Swedes you can hear that way more. And there are Morbid Angel records, like like you can hear Morbid Angel riffs that sound like Swedish Black Death riffs. They have that kind of neoclassicism. So on Covenant, there's things that sound like Swedish Black Death riffs, and the problem is it's like the same year Swedish Black Death started to exist. It was like 93. So I think there was like some convergent evolution with Morbid Angel, and they were also just really paying attention to them. Blessed Are the Sick also has Blessed Are the Sick has a very noble sound, and it has sort of those sort of almost power metal-y melodies, right, on some of those songs. I think that's got to have been important.
Yeah, and I think you guys were talking about it on the Altars of Madness episode on Terminus, where you guys were saying that some of the melodies on there kind of predate Swedish Black Death, you know?
Yeah, just on altars too. I forget that. Damn. All right. Well, that's there you go. More evidence.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you take Morbid Angel and you make it more lyrical and fleshed out in terms of melody and harmony, you can get a lot of the Swedish stuff, and that's just very different from being like What If Hellhammer but blast beats.
But
But
go ahead.
no. Do we want to go to the next sample or keep?
Yeah, that's what I was
shooting about that
gonna.
stuff?
Yeah, let's go into the last sample. Which one is that one?
The last one, so I feel like this one is one of the ones where they sound closest to the Swedish Black Death, Melodeath spectrum. Like they sound most like the band you would think they would sound like, and they sound a lot like the kind of stuff that is very popular now, I think. This is track 6. This is called Starfire, and I always perk up when I hear this one too.
All right.
So this is where they sound like they're most on the spectrum.
Like us. All right. We'll be right back.
Yeah, you know the death metal got a lot of shit to us about being from California and drinking IPAs and whatnot. But dude, IPAs are stronger than
Yeah.
regular
Yeah.
beers. It's like, why would you not drink a IPA? It's stronger. It gets you fucked up faster.
I like the arrogant bastard is good from that for that because they're not too sugary.
I
It's
haven't drank
Yeah,
one of
least
those in a long
headaches.
time.
yeah. I mean, it's also I'm a sucker for marketing. They put the angry metal gargoyle on it. I drink
Yeah,
it.
they put the
Like,
gargoyle with the beer
I
in his
saw
hand
those.
with he's flexing.
I saw those fucking beers at the party store when I was 10, and I was like, I'm going to drink those.
Dude, black metal guy, you might know what I'm talking about. Do you know what stickdeath.com is?
No.
You don't know what
Damn.
that is. Yeah, not a lot of people know what that is. It was an early internet website where it was like they had games and they had videos, but it was basically like stick people murdering each other. And one of the sponsors for that website was Arrogant Bastard Ale. And that
That's
was the first place-
awesome.
Yeah, and that was the first place I saw that. And they had kind of these remade music videos, but with stick figures. And they had a Lamb of God video. They had a System of a Down video. They had a Metallica Whiskey in the Jar video. And honestly, those were probably like my OG hearing heavier stuff internet things. That was
Dude.
maybe 2001, 2002.
Another I don't know what it says about my psychological state, but moment is I get the Whiskey in the Jar Metallica cover song stuck in my head like every month.
Whiskey in the Jar.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, is that time again?
Yeah.
I feel like that's Metallica's best RAC song.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
You said at the beginning of the episode that's all you had, huh? A little whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. There was a little whiskey in my jar. Now there's none, so I want to kill myself. But the anyway. So are we recording again?
Yeah, we've been.
Hell yeah.
We've been.
All right,
Good,
so
good.
let's talk about the Starfire. Everyone agrees it sounds the most death metal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you would say one because it has the most changes. Two, also I would say because it has the most of those kinds of like lower end tremolo leads, basically.
Well, it's also the most extreme. It feels like they're kind of pushing it.
Yeah, especially with
The
just
entire band is pushing it because the drummer is going fast.
Yeah, exactly.
Therefore, the entire band has to go fast and has to be very metal.
yeah, the
There you go.
blast is sort of orchestrating the whole tempo of the music.
Yeah, they're playing to it, and it. Yeah, and do you think? I wonder if when they recorded this, do you think they were players who weren't as used to playing at those tempos, and so there's this kind of like you hear them like white knuckling it, as a death metal guy would say.
I really don't know because these guys, this album is kind of late, isn't it? Isn't it 98?
It is
98,
kind of
yeah.
like you would if they were Finnish, you think they would have like
I feel like
done
okay.
a lot of this before.
So, I mean, with Finnish bands, it's kind of interesting because a lot of those bands were ahead of their time. I'm thinking of like Phlegethon and Demilich and things like that. I would assume that these guys probably have a pretty large understanding of what they were doing, especially the way they're playing. Like, it feels like they've heard basically a lot of the Melodeath records, like Dark Tranquility and In Flames and whatever. And
Like-
there's a lot coming out of that time. I
Yeah.
think that they pretty much know what's going on.
I was
at this
gonna
point.
say, like, with this, I'm surprised I haven't said it yet, or I haven't heard anyone else say it, but Amorphous must be a big, like, component of what they were listening to, especially with just being sort of cemented in this, like, folk metal, I guess, like, subgenre.
I guess I could kind of see a comparison to Tales from the Thousand Lakes, but sped up.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Especially with this song. I mean, this band doesn't do a whole lot of. I mean, there are some fast parts. Most of it is like folky. And I don't exactly know where the folkiness is coming from, but when it comes to the faster parts on this album, yeah, it's definitely all coming from stuff like that and Swedish Melodeath.
I'm looking at their past projects on Metal Archives, and I'm not seeing anything from before Follow the Leaf.
This is it, huh?
I mean, Metal Archives is not like a perfect resource, obviously, especially these days. But it's so I could be wrong. Also, like given that they're Finns, right, the Japanese people of Europe, it's entirely possible that it's entirely possible that they played in someone's garage for like 7 years, perfecting their skills before they even like dared to shame their families by playing.
Yeah, they
You
were
know?
they were all in a At the Gates cover band before this.
Right, right.
I think
You're
I think the
you're
fact
like,
that they don't have any historical bands prior to this kind of lends credence to the white knuckling of this. That sounds like the drummer's really pushing them to play to their limits, and just because they were exposed to the other bands in the past doesn't mean they were used to playing it at the very least this quickly. In any case, right? So I
yeah,
think it's entirely possible.
well, and the other thing that would go with that would be like, this is unusually, for something that's supposedly mellow death, this is unusually organized around loping mid-tempo, which makes sense if you think of them as guys who were listening to a lot of goth and maybe like Burzum and Forgotten Woods, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the way they kind of like continue on with alt rock and sort of the goth rock thing, it makes sense that these guys would be so good at what they do on this album. It seems like they already had an idea of what they were going to do without any honestly, it really doesn't sound, there's not much outside influence here.
Yeah. They could have written the whole record without blast beats, and so once the blasts kick in, you're like, hell yeah! Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's this wonderful bonus you get well over halfway into the record.
Yeah, that makes the point to like the drummer being bored, you know. It's like it's the same BPM, but let me play it double time, let me play it half time. You know?
Yeah, but he at least does these interesting ones where it's like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, he's not just doing the like bolt thrower like fucking what's it called, 6/8 riff and or 6/8 time.
Yeah,
you know,
he's not doing the frozen soul kind of technique. I know the black metal guy's a big fan of that.
The what technique?
The frozen soul technique.
Oh yeah, jeez. Well, actually, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. The
Well, some of those mid tempo. It could be.
they're
like,
just doing bolt thrower shit.
were you saying I was or wasn't a big fan of it? I was.
Said you were a big fan of it.
I am. Yes, I am a bolter. So, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's the idea. They kind of take a lot of those beats and mix it up a lot. I feel like a lot of the Black Death, mellow death bands of this era, like Eucharist kind of does this thing. Eucharist is a little bit more dynamic, or at least a little bit more immature at doing it. Even though I love that, I love the immature.
But
mellow
they
death,
seem to be changing it with the riff, rather than this band changing the drum beat with the same melody going on. You know, it's like recontextualizing it.
Yeah, this
rather
band
than
is trying.
Yeah, rather than showing you like a whole new avenue of where the music can go.
Well, this
Getting
album,
more mileage
yeah,
out of the same riff.
Yeah, it's teaching you how to make something interesting out of maybe something that's not so interesting.
Yeah, and the
Does that
thing
make
is,
sense?
it's like, I would instinctually like do that with like a 4 count. Like let's say the riff repeats 4 times, then I would change the drum beat. But with this band, it seems to be doing it a little bit earlier, so they'll do it on the 2nd count. So it'll be a repetition, another repetition, then they'll change the drum beat and kind of pull the carpet from underneath you to like, bring a different pace to that same melody. So it's always keeping you on your feet with that, or on your toes.
Yeah, that sounds totally right. Yeah, instead of being like, yes, and it's avoiding the
like the grid, like
feel. Yes.
Yeah, instead of like being being aware or self-conscious of like the grid sort of writing that there is with like Insta Black or something that I feel like they haven't really caught on to yet. With changing the drum beat, these guys are a little bit more anxious to show you what's next.
Yeah, anxious to show you what's next. Yeah, they're excited. You can really hear that on Starfire. They're just like stoked. And the other cool thing is just like because it's been so sort of gossamer and light, it's just cool to kind of hear that somewhat denser tone on those low strings, right? Playing these, these more sort of continuous loud trim riffs is fun.
I was gonna speak on like I know we spoke about it during the song as it was playing, but the fucking lead on this last song, you can hear it so much of like the keyboards playing behind it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it sounded almost like a Moog synthesizer like playing right behind the riff where it was like sort of like liquefied or something. It was odd. Like I've heard that here and there during the record, but this is where it really pops out.
Yeah, I did not notice that till Paul pointed it out. So, yeah, very good point.
Yeah, it seems like the frequency's like bouncing there.
I'm not sure I would have even said there was keys on this record if
Me
it
neither,
wasn't
dude.
listed.
I didn't fucking notice that.
Yeah, slipped it in there.
Dude, listen to this whole record from the front to the back. There's keys being played over the guitar melodies. It's crazy.
That's kind of insane because I didn't notice that at all.
No, like when I was hearing that,
at all.
when I was listening to it, I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, are they using a pedal? And then I looked at the archives and it says 3 guys are playing the fucking keyboards. I'm like, for sure it's a patch coming in or something.
There's 3 guys playing the keyboards, but you don't notice it at first.
Yeah, they're not
really
doing the
strange.
like the horrid like fucking Norwegian synth patches like Dimmu Borgir or something.
Dude, I didn't fucking notice it at all.
No, listen
It just
back to
sounded
it.
like a Wheedly Woodley guitar pedal to me.
Yeah, exactly. It sounded like a guitar pedal, but it's keyboards.
It's one of those paroxysm situations.
Yeah, exactly, like a wah pedal.
It just puts more body in the sound, but in a way where you don't even realize it's
Yeah,
doing
it's
that.
odd because it's like you don't hear it as 2 distinct things. It's like all in the same like family or something,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think a lot of people don't think about. I mean, it's part of the lore about the record, right? But Hate Forest's Purity has a keyboard on it, which is not at all obvious. But then you're like, oh yeah, that's the whomp. The whole point is that he just holds down the lowest note on the keyboard for the entire record. And that's the Purity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just merges into the bass, anyways.
Yeah, but once you know it's there, you can really start to hear moments where things fade out and it's just the keys.
Black metal is weird.
Well, I was gonna say, on that note, should we get on to our last words about this record?
Yeah, let's go to Fred. I
about
haven't
that
heard
time.
from Fred in a minute.
It's about that time.
It's about that time, I think.
About that time.
It's about a new time. Pressing on 6 hours. Let's get it.
It's about
6 hours.
reverse. It's about time to
I've been here for a long ass time.
reverse the time to old.
This is a band I had avoided because of that gothic label. I had heard the name. I'd never gone on my way to listen to any of it because I just figured it was stuff I wouldn't really be into.
Wasn't extreme enough.
I mean, when it comes to goth metal, I don't really mind it, but I don't need to hear a ton of it. So it's just never really I was never really inclined to check them out. Of course, I ignored the fact that it said, melodic death metal early stuff, but whatever. It's a good album. I enjoyed this. It really does feel weird that it came out of Finland. I mean, I know I brought up Thy Serpent, and I guess to some degree, I could compare them to Autumn Verses, although they weren't quite as fast. But yeah, the amount of Swedish influence in this is weird. But the folky medieval melodies in this really make it stand out in a way that I wasn't about to expect based on the album, its look, its general sound. The guitar tone is fantastic. That's what really brought out the Thy Serpent comparison for me. Yeah, I'll be going back to this one. If I find it, I'm picking it up.
Oh,
That's
I heard that.
about as good as a compliment I can give. If I'm willingly adding it to my collection, it's good stuff.
I've said it to you privately, but your collection is awesome. I love following the page.
Thank you.
Thy collection.
Thy.
Yeah, me and Dan probably take it for granted, but yeah, Fred definitely does have the physical husk of what we cover on there within a room.
Well, yeah, we can get it out of the way now. Fred, holy God. Are we lucky or what? We have Fred. Hey, it's Fred on the show. He's on. Dude, Fred hasn't missed an episode. It's episode 32. We've been doing this for 32
That's
weeks.
sick.
Oh!
Hey, congratulations.
Another milestone.
All right, so who's next for sum up?
Danny boy.
Okay. This isn't my first time listening to this album. Again, like I said, yeah. Again, like I said, the first thing that I had listened to was the 2005 Vantage album, which is very much more like alt rock, kind of grunge. That's how I would describe it. And Black Metal Guy, if you haven't heard some of the songs on the 2005 album, I'm gonna have to send them to you. I think you'll like them. They have a song called The Fresca, and then track 10 is called Cold Java. So it seems like they're talking about coffee a bit on this album. Yeah, it's dude, oh man. I don't know if you're into any kind of really emotional alt rock. I think I mentioned these two bands before, Live and Toad the Wet Sprocket. I think I would what's that?
Is Live? I always thought it was Live, but is Live
Yeah, I
the
don't
one
know
that
how to
did,
pronounce
like,
it. Live,
Live,
live.
Live, yeah.
feeling coming back again,
Yes,
like
coming
a rolling
back.
river from the center of the earth.
That's right. Yeah, that is the band I'm talking about.
That's a great song.
Yeah, dude, they have a lot of good songs.
Yeah.
That stuff reminds me a lot of what this band would do later, and that's kind of what I was introduced with this band. And I guess I kind of went back and I was like, oh, they're a melodeath band. And originally I was like, oh, this stuff is pretty cool. I didn't really think too much about it. But yeah, I mean, I as far as, you know, I kind of did a deep dive on these bands when I was writing like a melodic death metal like EP. So like Fall of the Leaf and Fatal Embrace and a lot of that stuff. This totally like it withstands all the classic shit. Even the like second At the Gates album, it totally withstands that, and it totally you know, I've always said with stuff like this, when it comes to like the single note tremolo riffs, it always had a black metal feel to me, but I never really heard anybody kind of talk about this stuff as if it was black metal. But the Black Metal Guy, you know, he kind of changed that. And it's funny, but right before we were ready to fucking talk about this album, everyone had their negative things. Paul's like, oh, I don't know about this album. It's a very folky album, and it keeps coming back to the same old thing. And even Fred, he's like, oh, the Black Metal Guy, I expected something more black metal. And then I actually listened to the damn thing fully, and I'm like, you know what? This is actually pretty black metal. So, and
Cool.
and I'll just say this: Black Metal Guy, you were probably my favorite guest that we've had so far.
Oh, shucks. Thanks.
It's on the record, guys.
It's
Yeah,
all on the
it's-
record, you know.
But we haven't been recording. Are you guys ready to? No, just kidding.
It's
Fuck this, I'm
No.
going to bed.
it's been
That's
extremely
no
fun.
that's no jargon to any of the other guests that we've had. But Black Metal Guy, you know, I jokingly said to Paul, I'm like, oh, we got the Black Metal Guy. This is our biggest interview yet. Jokingly, we're like, ah ha ha. But man, you were fucking great. What a great guest, man.
Thanks, bro. I
This
came
guy
to chill hard.
rules. Well, you gotta come. Either you have to come down for the Death Metal Guy show, or you gotta come to the Death Metal
Canada.
Guy hosting us again. We gotta meet you, dude. We gotta party.
Oh no, we've definitely got a party. Yes.
I was so looking forward to you going. I
Yeah,
was like,
same.
you know, we went to Florida, and I was thinking, you know, we had a lot of fun. And I told Paul later on, I'm like, you know, if the Black Metal Guy showed up, it would have been like an exuberant amount of fun.
Yeah,
I couldn't handle this amount of fun.
That would have been the rest of our lives.
I could have died. I could have.
we just wouldn't have left
right,
Florida.
That's right. I could have died right there, and just went to heaven.
we could have stayed there and started a gator farm.
There you go.
You know, a gator farm with Lithuanian black metal influences.
Yeah. What do you think of that? Me, Paul, Black Metal Guy, Death Metal Guy. We're in a band.
That would be sick. But we got to have Fred too.
Yeah, Fred.
Fred will
vocals.
give it the authentic Edmontonian flavor.
Well, Fred can like dance around or something.
I mean, I'm in Toronto, but still.
You're okay. You're in Toronto. All right. Look,
I
look,
can't-
just-
We could be
I have
friends.
zero
kinda.
musical abilities. I just criticize it. I can do backing vocals. That's all I got.
Fred.
if you're in Toronto, do you know the Into Oblivion or Cromlech dudes?
Yeah, he does actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Roman was on a couple of our shows.
Oh, sick. Wait, there's.
Saw Nuclear Hammer a couple weeks ago with
Oh, yeah, 'cause-
Extinction and Thornspawn. That was a good show.
Right, because Baron used to play in Nuclear Hammer, right?
That's right.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. I didn't realize Nuclear Hammer was still active. That's always one of those like cool bands that I meant to go back to.
Third album coming
Yeah,
out in
they
24.
just got active again. They just started releasing some stuff.
Great name for a band. That's fucking retarded.
I know,
Yeah.
isn't that fucking awesome? I'll say that too. Roman, I've tried to get Roman on. We've had him on twice, but man, he was a great guest too. I love that guy.
We got to do a Terminus is gonna do a Cromlech one soon. I think.
Hopefully,
they're due for an
Galicia
interview.
too.
Oh,
Yes, Galicia too. Well, now that we're doing more interview content, we gotta fill it up. We gotta keep doing interviews to put off the Spite Extreme Wing episode. It's, which is going to eventually happen.
Yeah, that'll be the fucking lighting of the stars.
Yes, once we do the Spite Extreme. Well, the thing is, we have to put it off because once we do the Spite Extreme Wing episode, the Death Metal Guy and I will Mishima ourselves on air, and that'll be it.
But I guess my final words about this is I had this totally under the wrong scope. I listened to this front and back as a as a mellow death record, and then Black Metal Guy's fucking little overview about this record kind of shifted my whole view about it. Like, sure, on Metal Archives I saw folk influence. Yeah, I heard the melodies of that. But with Black Metal Guy's words, I fell under the spell of this being mainly a folk metal record. And it all made sense within that instant of having these melodies repeat here and there, because during the, medieval times, music was
medieval times.
Reliant on these melodies to come back to be familiar with, and from where they went and where they were going with the drum beats sort of orchestrating the pace of it. It would start it out like a mid-tempo, bringing it up double time, bringing it down half time. It definitely painted a picture of the sky of definitely changing and changing with each coming of the year. But the leaves don't always fall in the same place. They're always different. I'm getting high-minded with this, but Black Metal Guy definitely changed my opinion on this, and I'm glad.
Just basically pull down Paul's camo pants on their own.
Yep. It's a different print every time.
You know,
also
the
Black Metal
entire
Guy.
show, a band has been on the tip of my tongue that I haven't been able to accentuate, and it's finally come back to me when listening to
Don't say at
Follow
the
the
gates.
Leaf.
Bathory.
Nope.
Venom.
American band, Dead Blue Sky. A bunch of metalcore kids that somehow
Oh
put
yeah,
out a melodic
metalcore,
death
mellow
album.
death.
Yep.
Cool name. And this reminds you of them?
Yeah, a lot actually.
Blue Sky. Interesting.
Don't worry, we'll cut that out.
Yeah, Black Metal Guy. Yeah, Black Metal Guy. You guys seem to talk about hardcore stuff a lot. I think Dead Blue Sky album is right up your alley.
That sounds right up my alley. I mean, the
it's-
other thing I'll mention like that is actually I think generally from your neck of the woods is the Funeral Pyre, who are West Coast. But the Funeral Pyre is just incredible, and they were metalcore kids. I think you can argue about whether it was supposed to be black metal. You can say maybe it's still kind of metalcore, but it's like if you had a metalcore band whose primary influence was Dawn, and the guitarist was capable of writing Dawn riffs, it's staggeringly good. So
Funeral
that's
Pyre. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have
the
to
Funeral-
message you about that. You're gonna have to send me that album. I'm gonna have to send you.
Yeah, we're gonna
some
have
of
to.
these later Fall the Leaf.
We're gonna have to keep in
songs.
contact after this.
we will do some follow-up communication. All right, I
Yeah.
should let you guys go to sleep and walk off the IPAs and go drive home.
That's right.
whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
Well,
Paul's 15 minutes away from home. I'm 5 minutes away from home.
excellent.
I was gonna say some closing remarks on this. Blood Revolt questions. You mentioned in the Discord, or primordial question with Alan.
Oh yeah.
Talk about Blood Revolt.
You didn't ask about Blood Revolt to Alan.
Wait, no, it's because there was maybe the chronology. You asked me about Blood Revolt ask about Blood Revolt like a month ago,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and
That
the
interview
first
fell-
time.
Oh fuck! Well, I should have done it the first time, but that interview fell through the second time. It's I think he had just gotten back from touring, and I think he just fair enough, did not have time.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah, but asking him about Blood Revolt would be good fun.
And the next thing I wanted to say was, like the death metal guy does with the torture doom and power electronics. Let's get a crust guide going. That would be amazing with like axe grinder, discharge, everything.
Oh, I could do that. I could do that because I like.
You like crust?
Well, I do, and the term is broad enough that I could actually like cover
A lot
a
of
bunch
bands.
of ground, right?
Yeah.
I could get us some D beat, some stench, and some Kyushu noise core.
Yeah, exactly. I was focusing more on the stench core, but yeah, just within that genre.
I could do stench too, but I only think they're like. I'm actually very restrictive on stench, and I won't get into it now. But anyway,
Black
guys,
Metal Guy. Black Metal Guy.
One
One
more?
more thing. If you got to come down here. You know what we have down here? Not only 10 miles away, we got a Medieval Times. We could take you to Medieval Times.
I mean, I'm just saying, guys, we have a medieval time in Toronto as well. You just come up here.
Oh, horse shit.
That's cut out.
There's no Medieval Times in Toronto.
Yeah, there is.
With Andy Dick?
But yeah,
No, it doesn't. There's an actual Medieval Times over here.
Yeah, us too.
But yeah,
Is Medieval Times a franchise? I don't even know.
black
Yeah, it is.
But
black
what
metal
are you
guy.
gonna say,
I was
Paul?
gonna say black metal guy. Last thoughts on the record and the whole podcast as a whole.
Well, on the record, I mean, it's been great hearing your takes on it because it helps me know I'm not insane, right? Like that my read on it makes sense. Sometimes being the black metal guy, sometimes I wonder if, I see black metal everywhere I look. So it's good to know that from seasoned death metal people, my read on this makes sense. Really fun sharing it. I think it's a record that just like has improved my life. So it's nice to share that. And yeah, and it's summary thoughts on the record as a whole. Yeah, I think musically, spiritually, we've covered it. Other things like this is really a record more people should care about. So I hope this is a step towards like putting more people onto this and putting it on the map in the canon. I think the reason there's like, I guess one summary thing I could say is there's a lesson to learn here about genre, right? People say they don't care about genre. Sorry, you have to care about it. And the reason a band like this gets forgotten is because of genre. And the reason we can find it again is also because of genre, right? That is, nobody was doing anything like this at the time. So they get pigeonholed as a melodic death metal band, which means anybody who hears it is like, this isn't melodic death metal, and ignores it, right? Which is what Paul's reaction was at first. Right? This is some weird mellow death, right? It's
fuck this.
Exactly, fuck this. And then in retrospect, everyone is like, oh, it's mellow death? Fuck this. It just, the audience and the genre for it really didn't exist then, in the sense in 1998 that you could call something black metal and it would sound like this would have been weird to people. And so now that we have this retrospective view of what black metal is and can be and what it's become, it can help us, find a spot to place this in. And it's just obviously going to be of way more interest to the kind of people who are into BM stuff now, or even neoclassical and neofolk music, than like it is to like most death metal people. But yeah, it's been great talking about it, and I've had thoughts about this one kicking around in my head for a minute, so I thought it'd be good to bring it on. About the show, I mean, dudes, it's been so fun. I thought we might just be sort of like shooting the shit, which would have been fun, but we got into a bunch of really substantial music stuff, and you guys are great at talking about it. So it's been really cool. Paul, Dan, Fred, it's been awesome. And yeah, we should, don't mean to invite myself back, but we should do it again.
Already invited.
Holy shit, I love the black metal guy.
We love the black metal guy. We love the death metal guy. We love the folk metal guy. We love the...
Hails to the death metal guy.
All right,
That was
guys.
a lot of fun, dude. I'll fucking I'll bother you. I'll be like, hey, come on this Monday.
Yeah, I can do that. Yeah.
All right, sounds
All
great.
right, guys. We're out. Thank you.
No. This is gonna die, though. This is gonna die, though.
Remember, your mom's all worried about you. Try to relax so we can help you.
Mom!
That ain't gonna...
Don't let him kill me! I love you, but this is gonna die, though.
Okay.
This one! All the meat I've eaten, I forgive myself.
Are we good on those arms?
This is gonna be it, I'm in it.
Satisfied?
Mom! Mom!
Should I do a handcuff also loose in case...
You're questioning liar! You liar!
All right.
Liar! 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 You're the one! Liar! You're the one!
Let's get him out of here.
Poke us back with a shovel! Poke us back with a shovel! Grab a shovel! We have a shovel in the backyard! Grab a shovel and poke us back out!
Cool.
Come on, grab a shovel, both.
You got it?
Yep. I don't want to kill you.
You don't want to kill me?
I don't want to kill him. Okay, I don't want to kill him, but